You want a piece of me, boy?
Nuclear launch detected.
Hello everyone, Funker here. I'll be walking you through the process of buying our special StarCraft 2 Nation Wars 5 items. The 5th edition of the National Team-based tournament will offer special in-game items and an exclusive t-shirt. Thanks to our partners, Matcherino and Blizzard, you'll be able to show your support for your country and the tournaments inside and outside of game. Here is how you do it. First, connect to matcherino.com/NW5. You will be warped into this page. Click on Sign in the top right and choose your preferred account to link to Matcherino. It can be your Battle.net, Facebook, Google, Twitch, or even Twitter accounts. Now, scroll down the page and select the package you want. In terms of in-game items, you can buy any of the 32 national portraits to represent the country you love, support, or wish you were born in. I see you South Korean portrait buyers. These portraits are at $2.47 and 30% of this will go to increase the price pool of Nation Wars 5. You can get as many portraits as you want, but if you are a true hardcore fan of Nation Wars, we got you covered. The complete bundle for StarCraft 2 Nation Wars 5 will cost you $18.59 and will offer the entirety of the 32 national portraits as well as the 4 emoticons and 3 sprays created for the tournament. All of those are designed by the talented Nicolas Chossois. Once again, 30% of the price will go to the prize pool. Last but not least, if you want to represent StarCraft 2 Nation Wars 5 in real life, like a boss, you can get your exclusive t-shirt designed by Nicolas Chossois for $23.57. Once you selected the item you want, click on it. Select your region in the top right, the quantity you wish to acquire, add a contact email, type in the amount of money you need to pay for your items, and click on deposit. From there, you'll be able to use your PayPal account to add the required funds to your Matcherino profile. Once it's done, go back to the Matcherino page, check the tiny box to agree with the terms of service, and click on purchase. You made it! As the stretch goal will get closer, some surprises will be unlocked for you guys. Visit the main page of Nation Wars on Matcherino to check this out. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to visit the description section of the page. You'll find plenty of useful information about all the process of buying Nation Wars 5 items. Enjoy the StarCraft 2 Nation Wars 5!
Hello and welcome back with us into the first day of the quarterfinals at Nation Wars. I'm here with Zombie Grub and Rotterdam after this all kill from Cham.
It was fantastic. What were you thinking when you were watching that?
I didn't see it coming at all. I mean, I really think that the first game gave him a lot of momentum because I think it was a very close game on Catalyst where at first it was looking good and then it kind of felt that Kalazur was crawling his way back into it. Even felt that Kalazur got in a really good position and to still turn that around against the star player of the team, that must give yourself like such a confidence boost and it's like, yeah, and from this point everything is a bonus. Well, it turned on that the bonus was everything.
Yeah, and now we'll play the second match of the day. It's Finland against Germany. I know you have started voting in the chat, but now you can still vote. It's FEN for Finland and DEU for Deutschland.
Yep.
Okay, so what can we expect from this series?
I predicted a close one, but honestly, if Cyril comes out first in 4-0s, I would also not be shocked. So I guess I don't know, purely.
Cyril is obviously capable of all-killing Germany, but it's far from easy. Technically, everyone on the roster of Germany has a good chance against Cyril. Like, they'll all be underdogs, but they've all beat him at least once before.
Right.
Showtime, historically, actually does quite decent against Cyril, even though the last few big series, of course, that final in Leipzig as well, Cyril did win. But, you know, it's doable.
Went for the same 4-3.
Yeah, I had no idea what you guys were voting for.
Should have gone for 4-0, you know, like Cyril comes and...
I wondered if anyone would, but I wonder if Cyril's going to be that brave, I guess, to go out first.
No, I think Zhuge Liang likes to start, I think.
Yeah, he's been scouting for them. So I feel like that's a very safe way to play. Like, Serral can take on every single one of the German team members, but to scout at least first and be like, oh, I know it's now TLO, so I got to prepare for ZVZ, is like always a little bit nicer.
I think 4-3 is also like a safe, realistic score, because it's basically saying that like if Serral loses once, then all the other German players are obviously heavy favorites over the rest of the Finnish team. Now, no free wins by any means, because Zugliang is a strong Zerg player, and even the Moz0 showed some good things as well. The few times we saw him play. But we kind of expect the Germans to take care of business there. But can they take care of Serral twice?
And now let's take a look at the group sheet of for Finland. So we have Serral, Chukulia, and the Moz0. We only saw him playing once because of his exams.
Right.
He went for the Turkey Dano build, didn't he? Against Elase, right? On Blackpink. And he actually got himself in a really good position, a winnable position even.
Yeah, that wasn't a very fun game to watch, but he did get maybe a little bit nervous and unfortunately wasn't able to scout as much as maybe he should have. And, well, he unfortunately has not grabbed a win yet, but everyone knows that this team is just really carried by Serral. Even if the other two players were some of the best in the world, it would still be carried by Serral, because he is maybe the best in the world.
Serral is the man that's not only ranked 1 on ladder, he's also ranked 2 on ladder if he wants. He's got the 2 highest rated accounts in Europe by far. I mean, it's 400 and 300 MMR clear of the rest. That is absolutely insane. That's not even supposed to be human. Like, it's supposed to be very close at the top. Everyone is close to each other. You know, a lot of people try to catch up to Showtime. Then you've got the few people below it duking it out for those 6, 8, 6, 7, and then like just alone at the top, looking at like what's happening far, far below him. That's where Serral is sitting. He's ranked first on the Legielec as well. Serral has just been a beast for more than a year at this point, because I think Katowice 2017 was already sort of, all right, Serral has arrived, as he was the highest placing foreigner in that event. Won his group, and we all know that winning your group in Katowice is very tough, because you always end up with at least a couple Koreans. Serral is just a different animal.
But like to keep continuing on this tournament, he'll have to take down Germany, and they're a really strong lineup. And they, of course, they have Dimauer.
Of course.
Dimauer.
I mean, they have such a strong, like, even lineup, probably paralleled with or you can compare it to Netherlands as well. Like, it's just, these are now the teams that are truly strong in every single player. TLO may be showing being the weak point, being the weak link. He has yet to win a game, but he has gotten close twice. I mean, it's not like he's been stomped. And then here, Marine showing that he is in form. It's going to be on the same server as well. I don't have to worry about that. And Showtime, well, Showtime may be the only guy that can take on Serral, but even he had trouble just 2-3 months ago.
It is typical for Dr. Dario, though, to come out here and then suddenly steal a map of Serral. That would kind of summon up the entire career of TLO, where people sometimes expect him to win. He doesn't get the job done, and when people count him out, that's when he strikes. Now, obviously, he would be an underdog, but you know, he's done it before. The last time that TLO actually went up against Serral was just a couple months ago, and it was, I would say, quote-unquote, just an online match in a Wadi team league. But Serral did win, TLO did win 1-0. It was a best of 1. So it's obviously it's possible. And nobody plays matches with the idea of like, this doesn't matter, I'm going to lose a public match. So obviously Serral did try. It is possible. I like this team overall, though, because even Hero Marine showed yesterday that he's more than just a good player. I mean, he freaking took down Neep. Like, that's one hell of an achievement for a foreign Terran.
It's a fantastic player. And there's also, you know, everyone's always like, well, what is Serral's weakness? And you can make an argument for versus Terran. So he might be the one to come out and take at least a map.
All right, now it's time to talk with our captains. TLO and Serral are with us. Hello, guys.
Hello.
How are you feeling today? Ready to crush the other nation, your opponent? Let's begin with Serral, who's smiling.
Yeah, I guess I'm ready.
Ooh.
Whoa, big words.
I think Serral is always ready.
Okay, have you watched the first series, like Cham all killing Brazil? Have you expected such a result, Dario?
No, honestly not. Like, I thought Mexico is a favorite because I feel they have 2 very strong players, and Major has been, I mean,
special.
He has been incredible lately. Yeah, special, whatever. I'm still not recognizing that. He's been obviously one of the best foreigners lately, and Brazil has a little bit of a shallow lineup with Kalasor, I think, even though if, Eric is not to be underestimated as well. But yeah, 4-0 was unexpected coming from Cham. I did expect Mexico to win, though.
And Serral, so if you had to rate Cham's performance as a Zerg, Like, where would it put in, like, in top rank, like,
if you were a 10, where
Yes.
would you?
On a scale of 1 to 0, where did Chem rank?
I don't want to rank him, but I was kind of expecting. I mean, I was expecting him to all kill, but I think Cham has always kind of had to practice CVT mainly, as he has always faced against Major and Galasru in his events. So I knew his CVT was kind of good, and obviously it's a bit of a surprise that he all killed. But I kind of like Cham, and I was expecting that bit.
Okay, now let's talk about your match. So, what did you think after the group drawing when you got Germany? Sarah?
I mean, we have played against Germany multiple times in past, and it has gone well most of the time. So it's nice to play against them again, and hopefully we can keep the results.
And what about the German team? How was your reaction?
Well, you know, we weren't necessarily hoping for Finland because Cyril is quite scary to all of us, and you know, but after we had the drawing, we all got to work and, you know, tried to find out what we can do about that.
And did you find something? Like a secret weapon, secret strategy?
Well, maybe, you know, you wouldn't want to give away too much information, would you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure.
Cyril, are you worried? I mean, this is probably one of the strongest lineups you had to face yet, or maybe some of the other ones were a little more top-heavy, but this is now 3 strong players. Are you worried about anyone in particular?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually worried about everyone. I don't even have too good of rating against DLO in past, and I think he's actually one of the scarier CVC players to face, because his style's a bit gimmicky, I feel like. And Marine. That's a compliment. and obviously Hero Marine is very strong as well. CVT isn't really my strong point, so I really think any of these players can take me out pretty easily, and but I'm still kind of confident. Obviously, Showtime's the one I'm looking up the most, probably.
Yeah, I've got a question for you as well, Sarah, because it feels that you versus Showtime is really sort of becoming like a classical matchup, right? Obviously, Showtime has been the best Protoss in Europe for a long time. A lot of people consider you the strongest Zerg. You're often rank 1, and then Showtime is rank 2. You guys meet each other in big events, and then, of course, you recently met in the finals of WCS Leipzig. Is going up against Showtime extra special for you, or is he just another Protoss that's tough to beat?
I think it's just another Protoss. I mean, I think it's very nice to play against Showtime. Otherwise, he doesn't mix his stuff too much up, so it's very nice to play against him, I think.
All right, but you don't really hold on to a personal record or feel that there is a little bit of a rivalry between you two?
No rivalry between us.
A friendly one. I mean, you can have a friendly rivalry, right?
No.
Okay.
It's not like that. It's not my rival.
Yeah, I've got a question for you as well, Dario. Obviously, Nationwide so far for you has been a little bit frustrating. You often got yourself in good positions, and then, you know, because of silly things, it didn't go your way. But I also see you as the type of player that can suddenly forget about that and potentially upset here. Do you also see this match as like, all right, this is the match for me. If I take out Cyril here, even if it's just once, then no one will talk about those previous matches, and everyone will talk about this one?
I mean, I don't really care what people are saying. Like, for me, like, every day is a new day. You know, my skill level also seems to agree with that. So it doesn't matter how my results were or what people say about it. I obviously want to beat Cyril, and I want to make that up to my team, most of all, to Showtime and to Hero Marine. So that's more important to me than...
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be nice to take out Cyril.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily mean what the people say, but just for yourself, because I know that you're someone who has high standards for himself, and I know that you feel probably a little frustrated about the way those games went. So this is obviously an ultimate moment to shine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It would be very nice for me.
All right.
Okay, so who will be starting for Team Deutschland?
We'll be starting with Hero Marine.
Hero Marine, what about Finland?
I will be the starting player.
Ooh, Cyril coming up. Okay, before ending the interview, I'd like Cyril to say something directly to your opponent, like to show your confidence, how ready you are, and then Dario can answer you.
Oh my god, this kind of stuff is so annoying. Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. maybe just Dario, you can say something.
Yeah, Sarah, you're gonna go down.
Okay, thank you, Dario. So, sorry to asking that. Sarah, no problem. Well, just good luck, I guess. Any last
Thanks.
words? Still not? Okay. Thank you for the interview and good luck for your series against each other.
Good luck.
Good luck, guys.
Good luck.
Cyril speaks with his zerglings and roaches, Ajin. He doesn't speak with many words.
Well, I was expecting a little bit bantering because we don't see much of this from Cyril.
The funny thing is that he's actually a very chatty guy, like at events, and he really does meme a lot with the other pro gamers as well. And you know, even at WSG, I remember like when he had to go up against Classic, which was a big match because there was $20,000 on the line. Someone else is like, he's like, what should I do against Classic? And I forgot who it was, but one of the Europeans is like, just play a clean game and then you'll beat him. And he's like, thanks, I'll just play a clean game and beat him. Like, greatest advice ever, guys. So, like, he's pretty funny in his own way. But yeah, he's perhaps still a little camera shy.
Yes, of course. So now we know the starting players. It's going to be Cyril against Hero Marine on Catalyst.
Yeah.
And look at the votes. It's quite close, actually.
I think it's how it should be. Quite close, but a little favoritism to Cyril.
I mean, Hero Marine took out Neep, who still a lot of people consider to be the second best player outside of Korea. Everyone kind of sees Sarah as the best, Neep as the second best, and after that, you can make arguments for Scarlet, Special, Showtime. But I mean, Hero Marine got the job done against Neep. If he does now again, he becomes a real legend killer over here in Nation Wars.
That's exactly what we'll be calling him. It'll be quite the tough feat, but bringing it back, like maybe that is Cyril's weakness, and maybe Hero Marine now feels very confident that they're both on the European server.
One downside though for Hero Marine is I do feel that he's more of a bio player than a mech player. I think Hero Marine shines a lot more with bio, and I feel like the only weakness, if there is a weakness for Cyril, it's kind of mech.
I do agree with that, but we saw Hero Marine go for mech on actually Catalyst, so see if we do it again.
And finally, it's time to find out if Finland or Germany will come in Paris to play the semifinals.
Okay, it's game number 1 between these two countries in the bottom right. As the red Terran for Germany, it is Hero Marine.
And the man who finds pre-game banter annoying, but also describes victories as quite nice, it is Cyril.
And a few words.
Yeah, it's nice.
Hero Marine, I brought up, he played mech on this map last time we saw him. It did not go so well. I definitely do agree with you that it seems that his bio play is just a little bit better, which is a little odd because I feel like his style, as I describe it, you would think is a mech player style, but no, his bio always looks a little bit cleaner.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, do we see it again? Do you think he fixed it? Was he just doing it because it was cross-server? Or does he know that Cyril has a specific weakness to it and really wants to try and abuse that?
That's a tough call to make. Normally, I'd say absolutely bio, but since historically Cyril just doesn't lose very often against bio Terrans, maybe that will prompt out his mech once again. I even have a little bit of a story. A couple months ago, I think it was around December, Christmas time, I was actually lathering, and Hero Marine was lathering as well, but he was lathering up a new account, so we ran into each other while he wasn't on his full MMR yet. So obviously, if he would beat me, it would truly hurt my ranking. And I watched the VOD back from his point of view, and he also said, he's like, oh, it's Ro8, but this is an account that's not very high ranked yet, so I'll play mech because my mech is around, this MMR level. It's really not that good. So, if he doesn't beat my mech, then he doesn't deserve the victory anyway. But I won't be a dick and play bio here and potentially steal all his points. So those were his literal words, which obviously states that he is a lot more confident in his bio play than he is in his mech play.
Anyone who watches Hero Marine stream know that he doesn't really mince words. He says
Hero Marine stream is so underrated. It is such a gem, especially, I just love it, man. The reactions, the almost no one is good. This is like Hero Marine really doesn't play a lot of good people, Like, play someone, he's like, lose the game, ranked 3 GM. He's like, I can't believe that I lost to this guy. I was like, well, that guy is ranked 3 GM, Hero Marine. He's like, unbelievable.
He did. That's exactly what it's like. So he does go for a command center first here, which is why there is a Reaper building, but clearly it's not at a normal time coming across the map already. It's always a little surprising, well, I don't say always, but it's always a little, to me, surprising to see a Reaper after CC first, but it definitely can happen. Gonna go immediately into the reactor. It looks like he's just gonna stay at home waiting for a couple lings. I mean, it's a bit later again to see those lings come forward, and Cyril did go for hatch first, now getting a third hatch, but he could be making their way across, and I believe they were. Yeah, they're there.
Just checking the corners. trying to avoid this Reaper as well. This would obviously be nice for Zero if he shows up with those 2 Zerglings when the Reaper makes his way to the other side of the map. It's going to take a little while before these first Hellions pop. The Overlord spots the Reaper, so that means free entrance for these Lings. Not likely that he gets an SCV kill here, but you know, even just forcing these SCVs to be not mining is already nice. StarCraft 2 is a game of, you know, small things, but a lot of these small little victories do eventually add up. Zero really wants to get an SCV. The Reaper slowing down, but...
Oh, no. That Reaper, man. almost there to save the day. I almost got a flashback from Cyril versus Soul and was like, oh, please raise the depot. Which he did. I still believe the Ling saw the corner of the starport, which isn't too surprising. Oh, the Overlord's there anyways. I was going to say, if you don't see the starport, there is a question of maybe a 3rd CC already, but I mean, there it is, and it's going to be a normal time 3rd CC. It's
going to be the Raven first coming out of Hero Marine. Now, obviously, with this starport, you can kind of do everything. Liberators are good, Banshees are excellent, Ravens are solid, and every now and then you'll see the medevac as well if they want to get a little crazy and maybe drop Hellions or use medevacs to support a potential Hellbat push. But none of that is happening, it's just a Raven. He did start Cloak, that was kind of cute trying to take down that Creep Tumor, but he did start Cloak, but that's obviously just to fake out Zero. But every now and then they do actually let Cloak finish, because then the Zerg sometimes thinks that Cloak isn't actually on the way because it's a Raven first, and then it's like, surprise, surprise, mind games. We will follow it up with a Banshee, but this is the first interesting moment as we've got 2 Cyclones on the way and the Armory going down.
Your Marine's been playing with these Cyclones early. In both the games I saw yesterday, I did ask him about it, and he said it's not particularly good, but I do like it. I think that it provides,
that sums up his personality. This is not very good, but I do like it.
It provides a lot of defense against early Roach pushes in case you are surprised. It also does provide the push. Like with Hellions and Cyclones, it's not very easy for the Zerg to ever deal with it.
Cyclones do pop, so these 3 Lings will not be super effective, but they did pick off 1 SCV. So far, just a couple SCVs went down. Nothing too crazy yet. Roaches are on the production tab for Zero. So obviously he should be able to deal with this, even if these Hellions decide to morph into Hellbats. Nothing really to fear if you're Cyril now.
No, not at all. And here Marine is going to go into mech, so he does go for the Banshee. It's a bit safe feeling, to be honest, without Cloak, but it can certainly go right to the 4th base even and get the drone over there. That's always obnoxious. Or just hang around to deal with creep. There wasn't a command center in the wall, and the supply depot is not raised anyways, but the Hellions are being made... No, actually there's a pause in the Hellion production, so those being surrounded is pretty painful.
Yep, that means that a couple SCVs will go down here. The Hellions getting picked off as well makes the first attack, of course, a little worse for Hero Marine, and above all, he's not paying attention now to his army. It wasn't too bad, but still a great scout by Scarrow, and not only did he scout, you know, he got a little bit of damage done.
Yes, he did. Here Marine is going to already float the command center over. It looks like he was preferring the gas timings over the orbital timing. There's really only a few reasons you would ever not make the orbital first, but I guess that would be one of them. Wants to quickly get all the gases up, all 6. He's going double armory, so that is pretty important to do so. And you really are depending a lot on the Banshee as well, or Banshees. He's still making another one despite not getting Cloak, to help in case they do a huge Roach bust. The Cyclones can only hold off so much.
Yeah, Sarah already going up to 4 bases. Is going to try to maybe sneak a couple Roaches by and do a little bit of damage, but Hero Marine will spot it with one of his Marines on the left side. Lots of Hellions here, and of course with the Cyclones and Banshees helping out as well. These Roaches are going to get picked off. Sarah wouldn't be Sarah if he at least gets a couple Hellions, but that's a nice little pick off here for Hero Marine.
Yes, it is.
If he gets all of them, which he doesn't. Because he's too far out of position, and perhaps that was a good call by Hero Marine. As Saro's trying to strike in multiple locations at once, the depots have been raised, and that does buy a little bit of extra time for these Cyclones to get home.
Ooh, I really like that split off from Saro. Playing very well, almost using his Roaches like Lings now that they're all dead, and this is doing an appropriate amount of damage. It's also almost guaranteed to mess up Hero Marine's macro a little bit, and the timing on the Thors is pretty important. More Roaches come from the third side. SCVs are going down here.
That split off was so sexy indeed, because now he's able to do way more damage over here on the left side as well. He's going to try to jump on these Cyclones on the top side. He gets the first Cyclone, he gets the Reaper as well. Cyril just wants it all. I'm not sure if he's going to get that Cyclone. The bench, he should be able to save the day, but it's just a few Roaches, and 13 SCVs went down, and a few more will follow.
The Sierra Marine is dealing with this, and it seems like he's macroing on the backside as well, which is really what I'm scared of. You know, there's already so few units as a mech player, then you have these roaches flying everywhere, and suddenly you only have 2 Thors, not even any tanks. It could get scary, but of course Cyril's been macroing as well. 77 drones, 4 bases, killing 19 SCVs, and finding himself in this position. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, with the 4th base up and running already. How many games haven't we seen where Terran players open up with mech and you see that Thor drop potentially threatening the 4th base or whatever, and arriving in the main when the Hydras aren't really there yet? Well, not in this case for Cyril, as he's had a pretty damn sweet game so far. Did Cyril lose a single drone? I don't think he did, right? And that just kind of says enough. It often seems that a lot of these Europeans are often just afraid to attack Cyril as well, because in their mind he defends everything perfectly anyway, so it's not really worth it. But not killing a single drone against a Zerg in the first almost 9 minutes of this game, yeah, that's pretty problematic in general.
Cyril has a lot of freedom here. Here Marine would not push out on the map until he was at least 150, but more likely 200 as he went for double upgrades. He's adding on a 4cc now as well. Oh, that almost was a very bad missed micro, but he does save both of them. Saves a Banshee and a Raven as well. But Cyril adds on not just an Infestation Pit and his continued upgrades, he also added on a lot of drop overlords. So he really has a lot of things that he can do.
Cyril's kind of doing it all now as he's going up to 5 bases already. That's cool. I mean, we saw Chem being pretty successful with his drop play on Catalyst earlier. Didn't go all out. It wasn't an all-in by any means, but he definitely got some damage done on top of the production. I do kind of like this defensive setup by Hero Marine. I think it's a very good split on his tanks, but of course he has been taking quite some damage, so I'm not 100% sure if it's enough. He's going to bring the Thors to the main because it's a fake out, and now Cyril's going to try to use this opportunity to get on top of the tanks. Cyril, you are so beautiful to watch.
That was so fantastic. You could see the Thors on the edge of the vision. Like, the observing was perfect as well. It was like a movie being told. But that was a perfect fake out, appropriately timed, with an excellent surround on very few tanks. And Cyril might have already taken this game. If he doesn't take it here, and maybe there will be a hold, he's just continued his lead.
Yeah, and resetting the tank count is, of course, so important. Those tanks and Thors were on move command there for a little while. The Thor will get saved, so that's a good pickup by Hero Marine. But Cyril's almost already running circles around Hero Marine, who does have soon potentially 4 orbitals. So don't want to totally count him out just yet, but losing all those tanks makes it just so freaking difficult for the mech player to ever move out and apply pressure, as Cyril has still not lost a single drone in this game and killed 47 SCVs. Like, how is he even human?
Oh, that was crazy. What's crazier is that this isn't just attacks. This isn't Hero Marine, I mean, hopefully it isn't anyways, thinking, well, he dedicated so much of that attack, then he's probably late to his Spire, to his Vipers. No, he's been doing everything behind all these attacks, never really feeling like he's about to be countered, because Hero Marine just doesn't have enough army. And while there still might be a good 2-2 push here for Hero Marine, and Cyril has to be a little bit careful. Yep. I mean, Cyril is careful. Like, he'll probably have a beautiful concave and excellent blinding clouds.
And now he's making additional drop alert, so this time potentially it is a real drop. Just when you don't respect it anymore, there is a chance that Cyril now will actually drop those units. But there are missile turrets still on the left side. That seems like a pretty good way to potentially still drop, as the scan does land in the main base. Great Spire already morphing.
Yeah, I was saying, oh gosh, because that's just not a good sight to see. You've already taken so much damage, and they are already on their way to a greater Spire. You're just like, why? What do I do against this? The Overlord drop is absolutely real, and you're totally right. There's a free zone on Catalyst that every Terran, TVT, TVZ, TVP, whatever, misses this spot, and that's exactly where Cyril's going for.
Yep, and Hero Marine is going to get the bad news now that this time these drop alerts are actually loaded with Roaches and Hydras. There is a tank there, there's a couple Hellions as well, but it's safe to say that Hero Marine once again is going to end up losing a couple of expensive units. I'm kind of surprised that Cyril decides to send everything down here, as I guess he's perhaps prioritizing this main engagement, as he's going to use his Vipers for the first time.
I guess that was the right call, but he was awfully clumped up and they got a few shots. It also just doesn't seem like it's that much army until the reinforcements came forward. The concave finally happened, but Cyril did lose a lot of his units doing that. But I guess Hero Marine got distracted by one place or another, continuing to lose SCVs, perhaps a factory even. Hero Marine is just, he's barely holding on, but, you know, in typical mech fashion, if he holds on, gets to almost max, and has these really nice upgrades, there could still be a little bit of worry for Cyril. as he's not adding on Broodlords, which I think Broodlords just absolutely end the game instantly.
I mean, he is getting +1 flyer attacks now. He does have that Great Aspire already, of course. At first, I was like, why didn't Cero leave a couple of roaches in the main? And then you actually look at the main, and the roaches are there, and they are killing SCVs. As first, he walked everything down the ramp. I think it's always nice to send, let's say, 3 roaches to the mineral line, just to give your opponent another location to worry about. Obviously, you can only look at so many things at once, but so far, Cero running circles around Hero Marine, who does still have a relatively scary army, but everything else looks very, very dire for our German Terran.
He's really just surviving, though. Like, it seems like nowadays, a lot of the mech players are allowed to get to 150 and then the 200 and do their push, and it's all about the Viper timing for the Zerg. But Cero's kind of mixing this up and just continuing to provide pressure, using his Vipers very offensively. A very cool interference matrix. Hero Marine still showing that he's a very fast player, defending on 2 fronts at once.
Yeah, those tanks obviously keeping this base safe for now. There are 11 additional roaches on the way. I mean, resources lost, it's quite even, but the good thing for Cero is that he has taken 0 economic damage in this game, and he's been trading out units for units and workers on the other side while having a better economy, and that's obviously always where you want to be as a Zerg player.
It's again that situation where really the mech player should have a much better looking resources lost, and instead it's a little bit worse.
This was a good hold up by Hero Marine.
This was fine. Yeah, this was a little bit overzealous from Cero, and he's not rolling in money quite yet. So any like severe mistake against a big clumped up group of tanks could suddenly send this game right round. But it's unlikely for him to make the mistake here, and he's now just kind of going for the bits and pieces, stabbing him 1,000 times.
And he's obviously cornering Hero Marine as well. He's got vision of the left bottom side with this Overlord. He's got vision on the right side as well with his Dropper Lord, so he knows. As long as Hero Marine is on 4 bases, yeah, 4 bases is scary, but he's also been resetting the army a couple of times. He's been killing a lot of workers, so it's unlikely that he truly has that much to worry about. And I think Cero knows as well, as long as Hero Marine never gets a 5th base, he should potentially never be in a position to end this game. He did add a turret there for you, Jess.
I'm telling you, it's always the last thing you do as a Terran. You're like, oh yeah, maybe I should go do that. But he also has the sensor tower, which is really quite smart. The Overlords, even if they unload, they die, which, I mean, Cero's not been shy about remaking them, but it's still always nice to grab. Hero Marine, though, didn't put the sensor tower quite to the right enough, so there is a little sliver where I think they can get past.
Aliens will get shot down on the left side as Hero Marine is still looking for his first drone kill of the game.
Pretty perfectly placed barracks. That's not actually blocking the command center, but it was scouting that it's heading on over.
Obviously, these roaches are going to try to prevent this from happening. Spore Crawlers being pushed forward as well as the Broodlords are going to make their first appearance in a battle in this game. Hero Marine decides to move forward. Can he get a good engagement against this pretty terrifying army of Cero?
He does need a parasitic bomb. The Vikings are still a little scary, but he has plenty, and he's obviously looking forward to, in fact, go down. And Hero Marine needs to split. He needs to get a concave. He actually runs 2 of the healthy Vikings, shall we say, into the Broodlords. And this doesn't end up going as poorly as expected. Cero actually keeping a
even anti-air.
Okay, actually, this is where it goes really poorly. He was keeping an even supply initially, but now that most of the anti-air is gone, although the Queens also died here, the last few Vikings are going to take out the Broodlords.
I mean, that one tank is kind of holding the right bottom side as well. That Spore Crawler is doing some serious work, but actually all the Broodlords do go down. It really looked like the Vikings were going to fall against the Spores and the Hydras, but the reinforcing Hydras were a tiny bit late to the party, so Cero in the end sort of wins that fight, but not the worst fight for Hero Marine at all.
No, it really wasn't. And if he was able to establish his 5th base while it was going on, I would say that was even maybe nice. But Cero just moved the Overload over a little bit, and that was probably very obnoxious for Hero Marine, who really needs to start sending his SCVs over for even minerals here. But Cero is proving he's not, quite going to be able to demolish him yet.
Oh, you don't want to run into that, I think. That tank backline looks very terrifying. That's a lot of tanks here for Hero Marine. Cero's losing quite a few Hydras. He's having a pretty good concave, though. But yeah, high ground vision there as well. Cero's actually been losing a lot. Can we take a look at the units lost right now? You can see that. Okay, it's a couple thousand more. I expected it to be even worse than this.
Well, that's definitely better than it was before. It's what you want as the mech player, but Hero Marine needs to get this base up, and this is where Cero sends those Hydras that weren't able to bust the tank line. That is an instant kill. Nothing over to protect this.
Nope, and that's, of course, a very big pickup. Is there an additional command center? I don't think there is. Right? A lot of free SCVs perhaps here as well, as Hero Marine tries to corner these Hydras. You want to be a little bit careful. Your Hero Marine, don't want to end up losing Vikings here, as they're pretty expensive.
Very odd position to slap down your command center. Oh, I don't think Sarah knows about it.
Not yet. But you
Not
might
yet.
spot it soon with creep.
Yeah, exactly. The creep spread is, it's not really been done anything to it, as Hero Marine, all of this game has just been defense, 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 not even able to really send Hellions out to get the drone line. So he's probably expecting Cyril to be banking quite a bit, but because Cyril's been so aggressive, it's still an even bank.
What's the Viking count there? I know he's been producing them quite a bit. We've got 8 Vikings. The Hydras are once again going to need a couple shots. Vipers coming in from the left side. Splits already being used, but he's going to abduct the Vipers, the Vikings, into the Hydras. That's actually a pretty good move, and I'm not sure if there is a proper answer against those Broodlords now.
Okay, I guess it worked out in the end. And as long as he takes care of the Vikings any way possible, as long as it takes, and he has Broodlords left over, then that's the biggest problem, as the tanks are not accompanied by Thors here, and it really is just the Vikings.
Yeah, good pickup, of course, by Sarah. Now, there is this base in the right bottom side. If Hero Marine is able to mine of this base and then also maybe land this orbital on the left bottom side, but as I started that sentence, Sarah's already on top of that. He's not going to give the German Terran any room to breathe at all. And Sarah's looking mighty fine right now.
Yep, still not accruing too much of a bank, but his trades are doing just enough work. I didn't even notice he got Tunneling Claws, wow. So he's going to be able to just continue harassing by even just denying bases with that is very, very bad for Hero Marine. It's more than annoying. He absolutely needs to have double expanded. So seeing this is just, Cyril kind of wishes he had something there, of course, but it's not even that scary, as he knows that the left side is still his.
Yeah, that one fight in the middle of the map, the fight before the last big fight, was really quite a good one, actually. And it looked a tiny bit dicey for Cero at first, but he's just done a very good job in controlling the map, not making it easy for Hero Marine to expand at all, forcing Hero Marine to technically only defend. The Broodlords are going to try to shoot at these tanks as well. The Vikings a tiny bit exposed against those Hydras, but Sarah is just so much richer and actually just has, I think, too much at this point.
That's kind of what he wanted, even, where the tanks on siege. That's good micro from Hero Marine, but still an open opportunity for Cyril to get on the tanks and end the game. GG. But considering how the first 9 minutes of that game went, I am surprised Hero Marine had so many battles to fight.
Yeah, and even had a good battle, right? That one in the middle of the map. If at that point right after that he's able to secure that 5th base, but losing that command center in the left bottom side against the Hydras, I think was almost the nail in the coffin, because then Sarah was just once again so much richer. Definitely a good showing, I think, by Hero Marine, even though it got a little bit unfortunate in the beginning, and Sarah was outmaneuvering him a little bit with those roaches all over the place. The drop fake out as well. But honestly, what I think is the craziest thing about it is that we just watched a 20-minute game, ZVT on Catalyst, and I honestly don't think a single drone died.
That is pretty crazy.
Like, how often do you see that?
There just weren't any Hellions sent across the map. Not even with the first 4 or 6, really, they do very much. He was always defending against something. His blue flame didn't even really play a part in this game either. It was just a desperate defense after desperate defense. And Hero Marine, I think he's one of the only guys that could have lasted this long. He was always on the back foot.
That was such a sick move, though, by Cyril. The fake big drop into the main base allowed him to get on top of the tanks. And after we watch a couple of those fights unfold, you truly wonder, right? If Cyril doesn't get this devastating amount of damage done in this phase in the game, could Hero Marine have done it?
I think so, especially if Cyril had miscalculated and run into 4 more tanks he didn't see. Then suddenly it's a huge mistake by Cyril, and he's perhaps like a little bit later to the Broodlords. He doesn't have the follow-up aggression nearly as much, and Hero Marine can breathe a little easier, but never really in this game could he breathe easy. He's always trying to defend against harassment, plus against huge army battles.
Yep. I think soon after this one we're going to see that one epic fight in the middle of the map, because at this point it really looks like Sarah is super far ahead. If you look at the bank, you look at the map control, there's still roaches being annoying. You're like, this game's kind of over. And then this battle happened, which actually turned out quite alright for Hero Marine. He was able to save a couple of his Vikings, and it was just enough to kill those Broodlords in the end. And Sarah spent his entire bank right after this fight, and suddenly you're like, is there a chance here? But yeah, Hero Marine not being able to secure a 5th was the nail in the coffin, but this was actually a pretty damn good fight by Hero Marine.
And it takes seeing it a couple times to really realize why. The Hellbats are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. They are tanking the Broodlings, and then the tanks were always firing on either the Spore Crawlers or the Hydras. So where usually the mixture goes in favor of the Zerg, Broodlings top of tanks, or friendly fire being done, Hero Marine shows he knows how to micro this army. He just could never apply any pressure, get quite a good enough army. And Cyril, this is the last push, just knew exactly what he was doing almost always. I'd say 1 or 2 pushes he did miscalculate, but not enough to truly be damaging.
Perhaps it has something to do with the amount of damage that Cyril was able to do early on as well, that he got a little overconfident, a little overeager, and at that point you're like, that's okay, I can always try, and even if I end up losing 7 roaches and a couple hydras here, I'm rich enough, I'm far ahead enough to, you know, bounce back from that, and that doesn't hurt me that much. So the next player for Germany, do you know the map?
I did not know. Shoot, I knew the first one. But...
All right, well, I think it's very, very map dependent.
Yes.
You can obviously make a very valid argument. If it's Backwater or a Neon Violet Square, I'm kind of expecting Showtime. If it's a map like a Biogenesis, I'm expecting TLO. We'll see what it is.
It's Neon, it's TLO, and you're just like, well, darn it.
Yeah, I mean, it's... I don't know. I feel like that's a good map for Showtime.
I agree.
Yeah.
I do agree. I'm just kidding with you. I think that's something, it's one of those X maps that Showtime's like, no, don't bring me out yet. I have a stronger game in mind versus Cyril on a different one, which is the beauty of this format, I suppose. In a regular best of 7, you would be forced to plan some uncomfortable maps, but here you could try and maneuver your way with your teammates to the perfect scenario.
Yep. Could potentially be a map like Eastwatch as well. I'd love to see a ZVZ on Eastwatch between TLO and Cyril.
Yeah, it was one of the other ZVZs where TLO got kind of close. If he had Roach speed when he was supposed to, that game's very different versus, well, it happened yesterday. Don't quite remember who it was against.
Namchar.
Yeah, there we go, Namchar.
I often feel like the more complex a map is, the more it's designed for TLO. It's like, you know, how normal people start like, all right, how can I expand? TLO looks at the map, it's like, how can I do something really smart right here? And we're going to find out which map it is. All right, it's the Biogenesis. Boy. And then I think it suddenly makes a whole lot of sense that TLO came out here. This is obviously not world's greatest Protoss vs. Zerg map, even though I feel that Protoss recently actually had a pretty good showing on this map a couple of times. But it's still not a map that in general Protoss players feel very comfortable at, because it's just too easy for Zerg to do weird pushes that are very tough to deal with.
That is true, but now we're seeing a ZVZ here, as we probably should. In the top left now for Germany, it is the Red Zerg TLO.
And on the right bottom side, we're looking at the highest ranked ladder player in the world at this point. Hailing from Finland, it is Cyril.
Okay, so if TLO were to lose this and Showtime had to come out, then the next map would be Eastwatch.
Okay, I mean, I don't think that's necessarily Showtime's dream, but also not the worst map. Does have choke points, it's very long, good for Stargate openings. But we will see. I like the respect that Cyril was showing TLO in the interview. You know, some people are very critical of TLO and say that, you know, he doesn't really have it anymore. But Cyril said, you know, no, this entire lineup is actually quite scary to go up against. Even my record against TLO is not that fantastic. Out of the last 3 times they played, even though they were all online, they were not the biggest series out there. But TLO actually won 2 out of the last 3 times they played. Now, one of them was over a year ago, so it doesn't matter that much. But the most recent encounter was in January. Just an online league, but it's still a very nice victory for TLO.
And I guess Cyril always has to consider that, I guess, time really changes stuff, and maybe he thinks that he won't know exactly how TLO plays, or maybe some of the other European Zergs, he plays constantly in competition. He knows what to expect at the very least. But TLO has kind of built his brand around not knowing what he will bring forth. He's not quite cheesy is the right word, but everyone uses the word creative. Okay, fine. But, you know, taking the gold base, really having some strong pushes off of that. No gold base here, though, Nabio.
No, that's going to be tough, even for TLO. If someone can do it, take a gold and a bio, it must be Dario, but I'm not sure if he can get away with it. Yeah, historically in maps, it's 14 and 11 in favor of Cyril, and a lot of those encounters were in 2017, and that was already a very strong year of Cyril. Like, I'm not bringing up stats from 2012 or something, but 2017, I mean, Katowice was in the beginning of the year, and I think at that point, Cyril already showed that he's one of the better foreigners, and that was an understatement, as most Europeans already said in 2017 in the beginning, Cyril is the best, and everyone will see it soon in tournaments.
Oh, and I think that came true. Now, Abiogenesis was the other map we saw TLO play as EVZ, and he also had a good start there. He was even maybe supposed to win it, and then he said he went on autopilot. Hopefully that's been fixed today. But Abiogenesis, whether it's, you know, you're worrying about aggression or not, maybe it is a macro game, you still always figure it's going to be a weird macro game. There should always be some type of pressure applied, especially in ZVZ. TLO is going to be the one that has to worry about that more so, as his speed is a fake mistake, I believe. I don't think he actually was planning on getting it.
Because it's so late that at this point he just... This actually works out kind of well for TLO in a very weird way, because now these links are going to go down and he might cancel it and drop down the Roach Warren, or maybe he just goes...
Maybe he will get 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe it's just very economic opening by
there's
TLO.
The cancel. Yeah, that seemed awfully too well timed for the links going inside.
That's actually very nice. It almost felt that TLO made like the misclick on the rocks on purpose to let the links come in, scout the circling speed that wasn't there. Everything looks normal for Cero, but actually TLO dropping a very fast layer. It's getting +1 missile attacks already, and a Roach Warren. I mean, on a map like a Biogenesis, +1 Roach timings are always scary, but they're even more scary when the Roaches take 3 steps and they're in your opponent's natural.
That is very true. TLO is making the Roaches first, but with a layer on the way, I would expect them to, at least wait for Roach speed before really doing very much. Cero gets a follow-up scout here and sees that, hey, that wasn't speed. Yeah, you got me. Yeah, but not really. I think he kind of knew it was happening, and the Roach Warren, of course, confirms it.
Yep.
Well, it's a daisy.
TLO making another misclick there. This time he's shooting at his own Roach Warren. Don't want to do that for too long, because that's going to make it quite tough to hit your Roach timing. So good scout there by Cero. Cero, of course. Yeah,
he's bringing his queens. He's not waiting for Roach speed. Did he cancel the layer? Is that just done?
Ah, that's a good... Let's take a look.
Oh, for the creep highway. Oh, wow. Flashback to Neo Planet S.
TLO. Creative. Biogenesis. It's happening. Cero is figuring it out quite quickly, though. He's getting spine crawlers, but he needs to buy some extra time. He does have those links. Take a look at those links as well. The links are going to try to buy some time, but it's not really a scary amount of links. Just a couple reinforcements could potentially deal with it, but the spines are going to be a bigger problem. Could TLO potentially snipe the Roach Warren of Cero? Is that an option?
That might be an option, but maybe that's still too late of an option. By then, Cero will also have more spine crawlers. He'll have even the Queen still with transfuse energy. He's going to go with the Evolution Chamber, which isn't too bad. He is still continuing his +1, by the way. Like, this seemed like such an urgent push. I wondered if that was going to really play into this game. Maybe it would cancel it, but no, that will finish in 10 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, this is hard to defend for Cero because the spines are a little too far back, and that means his Roach Warren will go down, but Cero, of course, was anticipating that. He already has the backup Roach Warren in the main base. He's going to start his own Roach speed. TLO still down a couple of workers. Actually, he lost 6 drones against that group of links that I thought wouldn't achieve that much, because we didn't see that many links. TLO is still going for it, even though he is droning behind this.
Ooh, it was a nice dodge. He's going to bring that one a little bit back, too. He does have transfuses, and those are going to be very important for the spine crawlers. TLO, of course, does as well, but it's going to go on either Queens or Roaches.
Ooh, the Roach count seems quite high here, though, for Cero. I mean, obviously having Ravages in the back is very nice, but Cero also has quite a bit of energy on his Queens, and with that weird creep highway that TLO, I mean, it's still going to be hard to do. The Queen is kind of blocking the Ravager there, which means one Ravager will go down, and that Queen is going to go down as well. The highway was broken.
It was. The Queens, they definitely want to make it back home. He's already made a few of them, I believe, and it is an interesting situation where TLO even finds himself a little bit ahead on drones. Obviously, he already invested into +1.
Yeah, he sniped that Evolution Chamber. I mean, in the end, this worked out well. Imagine if TLO wouldn't have lost those 6 drones against the links. Then this would have been absolutely amazing for TLO, but TLO finds himself, I would say right now, in a good position against Cero.
I want to say that as well. I mean, it's a very odd thing to say when you see Queens marching across the map and it doesn't end up ending the game, but Cyril had to take it very seriously. He hadn't already started a 3rd base, which might have killed him, but also might have made him be ahead now. Now is the return, I suppose.
I don't know if that's going to work, though. I mean, TLO already having +1 missile attack, Cyril not having it. I'm curious to see where Cyril is going to go with this spine crawler push. He's still making Roaches, but running up this ramp, I think, is so tough, especially with those Ravages in the back as well. Corrosive Bow is going to land, is going to connect with actually his own Overlords. Now Cero's going to go for it one more time, will somehow avoid the Corrosive Bows.
His Spine Crawler did take the shot, so he's down by 1, I suppose, but 2 still make their way up into the high ground. They're going to be able to burrow. The Queen's now transfusing for the Roach's life, but did Cero overestimate his position to break this ramp?
Well, I mean, he's got Spine Crawlers now on TLO's side of the map in the natural. He doesn't have that many Roaches anymore. TLO doing a good job in retreating. That was a very cute cute little forced block. Serral still moving forward with his spine crawler. Is going to try to return the favor of getting some of these buildings here. But TLO does have a lot of reinforcements incoming. TLO technically has the bigger army if he gets all of his units together.
It's also very unfortunate that he still has a corrosive bile to try and take down the spine crawlers without really truly engaging, although he just missed that one. Yeah. He's grabbing units as they get Little Miss Micro transfused. Nope, that one still goes down. Spine crawler goes down. TLO is going to try and break it here, and I think that he can. He has the defender's advantage, even with the spine crawler still around. He does break it.
TLO holds against Serral. He's now 10 workers ahead and is about to have +2 missile attacks as well. Excellent hold there by TLO, and I think he's really doing it. I've got a feeling that TLO, even though it didn't work out for him against Sordov, it didn't work out against Nemchar, it didn't work out against Neep, but against Serral, he's really going for it. And I'm not exactly sure how Serral's going to turn this around. He's down a full upgrade, and he's down 10 workers.
That is anyone else, and I'm just saying that he's absolutely dead. Even with it being Serral, I feel like he is absolutely dead. There's just not a lot of time you can buy in such a small map for these problems. And TLO would have to severely overestimate his position and make a mistake, which even with this fight, I don't think it'll go that badly, although it is a big concave for Serral.
Yeah, and a couple of roaches coming in from the south, east side as well, flanking those Ravagers, but the Ravagers somehow lives. TLO is starting to get close into these Queens as well. That +2 is really making a difference here, because the concave was beautiful for Serral, but TLO is getting his first map win perhaps of the tournament, and it's a very, very big one.
It looks like a very strong position. He's not quite able to crack Serral right there, but he's still up 10 drones. He's up in army supply.
He's not going to stop.
Has no upgrades on the way, and Serral must be figuring that he's going to lose this game, and has to start thinking about how he's going to bring it back when he's revived, because I don't know if his teammates can help here.
I mean, TLO is obviously a tough person to beat for almost anyone, and especially I think for Zhuge the must zero. It is possible though. Not totally over yet, but Serral it seems like he's fighting an impossible battle, an uphill task, and one hell of a mountain to climb, as now the Queens are joining in the fray as well. Again, what a cool build, what a cool opening by TLO, and what beautiful execution and great hold in the beginning, as he's going to go in for that killer move. The concave for Serral is good, but his roaches are not as strong, and the Queens are here as well for TLO, and I think even Serral is going to have to tap out soon.
As well, as good as he is trying to get these concave set up and defensive setups to take back the game, TLO is just in too strong of a position, always taking just good enough fights anyways, even if he isn't able to quite crack him. I think this time is going to be different though, as even Slow Lings come in here to help out, and he just rallies across a very short map, and Serral is going to have to tap out.
Those Queens, man, the TLO Queens, they helped out early on, they helped out defensively, and now they help out aggressively once again. What a cool build, what cool execution by our German Zerg. GG! TLO takes down Serral.
We set up this story, but I'm not sure any of us really believed that TLO would be able to get the finally get a win in Nation Wars against the ZVZ master himself, Serral, and then it happens. And what a fun game it was.
I said it, like this is just TLO's career, right? Loses against people that we expect him to beat. You expect him to show up in a big way against some of the lesser countries. Didn't get the job done. Was in a good position. Couldn't close it out. Now he comes out with a build like this. And this is obviously something that's very well thought out, very well prepared. That was really cool. From start to finish, that was very, very cool by TLO.
It was really a very fantastic build, but you know, it was really this decision, I think, that set the TLO victory in motion. Serral decided that he could counterattack, and he forced his way up a ramp. I think if TLO was holed up in his natural, if he didn't have any Ravagers here, then maybe this plan works for Serral. But him seeing that TLO was prepared for this, and him still pushing the issue, I thought was an uncharacteristic bad decision by Serral.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it is a biogenesis as well. Maybe it's not a map that Serral plays super often. I thought it was a cool counter idea, but going up that tiny ramp is just very difficult. And obviously, the longer Serral would wait, the worse it would get for him, because he was down economically. And maybe this is just one of these maps as well, where, like you said, Jess, it's not a map where Serral could potentially do that much outplaying in the middle of the game, because there's only so many things you can do in a biogenesis. It's very small, and often armies just headbutt in the middle of the map, so maybe he felt this was his best chance after losing the Roach run and losing that Evo chamber.
That is very true, and it might have worked if another Spine Crawler had been able to root faster. It was still very, very close, but maybe instead just trying to live with the one upgrade disadvantage and then still having equal drones would have been better. We'll never know. Cyril taps out, and it'd have to be a very good day for TLO to, all kill Finland, but Cyril has to start thinking about his revive, basically.
Yeah, really, really sick victory for TLO. Obviously, that's very nice. Still works very hard. He says it as well. Still plays a lot. And with TLO, you just never know. His skill goes, he said it himself in the interview, right? One day and the other day, he's just a completely different player. And this was TLO in a nutshell. Just a very weird, funky, but awesome build. And I really wonder if he let those links sneak in on purpose or not. Because if he actually accidentally or on purpose clicked on those plates or the rocks at the bottom of his ramp, let the links come in, have that spawning pool wiggle, pretend it's all normal, but actually it's not normal. I mean, only TLO thinks of stuff like that.
And TLO evens up the score here by taking down King Cyril. It was with an amazing performance. And now who is going to be the next player for Finland?
Next map's Eastwatch.
On Eastwatch.
Yeah.
I could see Zhuge coming out here.
I think that's what happens.
Yeah.
Although I guess it was where the Moss Zero, that's what you say, right?
I thought the Moss Zero had a good game on Blackpink. With
that was Eastwatch, wasn't it?
No, when he did the cannon rush against Elaser on Blackpink.
You're right, it was Blackpink. Yeah. I'm thinking of another cannon rush that was on Eastwatch, I do believe.
Yeah, that was Turkey Dana when he got Nidus by Bly.
Yeah, you're totally right. Okay, it is.
It's gonna be Zhuge coming against TLO.
I mean, this is not... I mean, normally people obviously... Easy math here as a soccer fan is like, wow, if you beat Cyril, then you're obviously going to destroy Zhuge. But that's not how this works. It's a completely different player, and it's also a completely different situation when it comes to pressure, right? Like, TLO goes into that game eager to show the world that he can actually do this, that he can get a very big win here for Germany, and, then obviously we forget about the other games. But now against Zhuge, there's suddenly a lot of pressures, because now obviously the first thing that goes through TLO's mind is like, please don't tell me that I will beat Cyril and I'll lose to Zhuge, which is possible because Zhuge is a very solid Zerg as well. He's no Cyril, but he's definitely capable of winning a game against TLO.
I agree. I don't think it's as easy as, order of operations or whatever, like I beat X, so then I beat Y. But Zhuge could definitely get some revenge, but then he, of course, had to face Showtime, and I think that goes back to being quite balanced to Showtime. So that would be tough, but TLO just proved that it's not going to be the Cyril show. It's going to be a bit of a slugfest.
Okay, so the next game is going to be another ZVZ, Zhuge against TLO. So stay with us and see you after the break. Hello and welcome back with us for the Game 3 in this best of 7 between Finland and Germany. And it's gonna be Zhuge against TLO, who just took down Cyril.
Yes, but now can he continue that momentum? Because it's very typical for TLO to not win a game yet in Nationwide and then to beat Cyril. It's also possible that he somehow falls here to Zhuge.
Exactly.
But on the other hand, he should have a lot of momentum right now. How he's sitting there smiling ear to ear. And it wasn't just a victory either. It was actually a brilliant victory. There's everything that TLO did from start to finish. The creep highway, the fake speed, moving the queens along, but droning up behind that push. Cyril reading it as a massive all-in, investing in the spines. Chapeau, TLO. That was very, very good.
It is such a typical TLO game, that looks brilliant when he does win, and he was able to do it against Cyril. This is such an important win for his team, such an important win for Germany. I mean, only one game to take down from Cyril now. So obviously, he has to play Zhuge. Supposedly, and I guess we can say it without any doubt, not as good as a player as Cyril, obviously. But you said it. Maybe TLO can still drop a game to Zhuge. After beating Cyril, he can still beat that game. But I do believe that he is the clutch player that Germany needs. He did it in Nation Wars 4. I said it maybe 5 or 6 times already in this broadcast, and it's coming to life. He is a clutch master. In the quarterfinals last year, he was able to be special. Nobody expected it. Now he does it against Cyril.
Was that a game with like sick bailing bombs as well?
Yeah, bailing bombs, Utilisk. It was on a Daybreak. What an amazing game. He run-bys everywhere. There's like Ultralisk to the 4th, Mutalisk in the main, Zergling run-by on the 3rd. Like, what the hell are you? Like,
if Dario's feeling it, he's also really feeling it, and he really kicks it into overdrive as well. It's just a very fun player to watch. And now I do think there is a lot of, maybe not pressure, but almost responsibility on the rest of Team Finland. Is Finland out of it now? No, absolutely not. They can obviously still win this match, but it would help out Cyril tremendously if at least either Zhuge or the Mazero can take care of TLO, because then it basically becomes maybe Cyril versus Showtime, and then the question is, can Cyril 2-0 Showtime? And like, he took a 3-0 lead in the finals of WCS Leipzig, so still possible. But yeah, there is responsibility now on the shoulders of the Mazero and Zhuge.
Yes, indeed, everything is still possible now for this series because only one of them can advance to the next round. So while the next game is getting prepared, let's take a look at the tweets. Okay. We have some funny tweets to see. Oh, Cham, Mexico is going to Paris. Yes.
I just all-killed Brazil. Of course, didn't expect this, but I'm happy with the performance. It's nice to see Cham super happy with his own performance, but he played amazingly, took out Brazil 4-0. What a champ. What a champ.
Rocking his IEM Pyeongchang jersey. That's kind of cute.
There's everything we want to see. You know, Mexico being happy, cute doggy. I love it.
Very tiny doggy.
That's a yoke shirt.
Yep. Okay, that's a little bit too small for my eyes. I'm getting old, guys. I can't read those.
We're going to assume it was a great tweet.
And here is the Borsty segment. It's starting with TLO on the face of Kerrigan. This is actually a face swap that's quite terrifying.
Yes. And then he also added, it worked! Intimidation tactics!
Okay, so next game, Zhuge against TLO on
Eastwatch. I mean, I love what you said about responsibility. You know, we mentioned multiple times, Nation Wars is basically a tournament that you could win by yourself if you're the best player in the world, if you handle the pressure well. And now it is a matter of, now my heavy hitter, he lost, and I need to take a little bit of that responsibility upon myself to make it easier for him. Because we still expect Cyril to be the one to finish the job if Finland were to win against Germany. But they need, he needs a little bit of help. It needs a little bit of a victory from either Zhuge or the Mazero, and it's the opportunity for him to do so.
Okay, so now it's time to play the game 3. It's gonna be another ZVZ, but with another Finnish player, Zhuge against TLO.
All right, in the top right, some might say he is the clutch master, or also the trickster. He is TLO.
Dr. Dario.
A mind gamer.
And in the left bottom side, the man that we mostly know for his celebrations that not always work out here at Nation Wars, but now it's time for him to potentially get a very important win on the board. For Finland, it is Zhuge.
Yeah, I'd say his celebrations this year were a little bit lackluster, especially the rap. I wanted to hear it.
Well, he blamed O Gaming for that, by the way.
He did?
Yes, you didn't see
my God.
You didn't see the tweets?
Oh my God.
I'm
going to have a discussion with that man.
He's like, the reason this didn't work out is because they didn't want to rehearse my celebration. I told them in advance, we need to rehearse this, and they didn't answer me because I wasn't sure if the audio would work out. So all responsibility was on O Gaming.
Oh my God. All right, Zhuge. Well, I hope you will have another opportunity to get some rehearsals done and some stuff to actually make your celebration. But for this, you have to win a game. You have to be TLO.
I like where this is going, though, Funky.
Yeah.
Double hatch before spawning pool. A super, super economic opening, at least at first. But just because people go double hatch before pool, this doesn't necessarily mean that they will only macro and they will only build drones. Of course, if they do that, they will be able to get quite a comfortable lead if they don't take any damage. But sometimes it's the complete opposite. You show your opponent that, you know, you're willing to macro, you're getting ready for it. Your opponent goes on autopilot mode and suddenly, surprise, surprise, 32 Zerglings show up.
Yeah, 32 Zerglings. That's what could be happening with the 3 base super early into the game. I like it from Zhuge. He needs to take one map, and going for a super greedy build might be the opportunity for him to do so. I like it that he tries to go for that.
I also really wonder when TLO is going to scout this, because this is probably you know, it's not something you immediately scout for. Like, you don't see this super often. It's not ultra uncommon, but it's not the standard opening.
Yeah, it's not the standard opening at all. I mean, it is so greedy.
If your opponent goes 14-14, then you're super dead.
Yep, indeed. But he expected TLO to go for something more stable, more normal here with the hatchery and the gas and the pool. It will go for a third hatch quite fast after that. But the advantage is already on the side of Zhuge. Let's see how he handles those first early Zerglings from TLO. He's not even going to go too aggressive on this one. Maybe go to the north.
I mean, he spotted, of course, the fact that TLO is going up to 3 bases as well. He'll try to keep a close eye on some of these paths, but Eastwatch is a massive map with a lot of potential attack paths across the board, so it is kind of hard to really keep a close eye on everything that your opponent is doing, and you don't want to put the Overlord too close to the ramp, because that's when the Queen marches out and snipes your Overlord. But I think Zhuge Liang is reading this as, alright, he's going to macro, I'm going to macro, but my hatcheries were a little bit faster, so I should have a minor advantage here.
Could be also like maybe a tier 1 timing, you know, Roaches, Ravagers, Zerglings. You get that early economy for yourself. You get a lot of drones early on, a lot of lavas as well, and you can go for it. I actually see it possibly on the side of Zhuge Liang.
All right, these Banelings, these Zerglings from TLO are just going to run into the Naturals. The Lings are out of position for Zhuge Liang. And this is kind of painful. You're losing 2 drones immediately. In the end, 2 Lings will get out of there as well. I mean, obviously, that's a great start here for TLO. And that economic advantage, wow, that's a Baneling as well. Well, a little bit unnecessary. Now the lair is fired up for Zhuge Liang, while TLO decides to go for the Roach one. It was kind of funny how TLO was working on the rocks on the south side, and Zhuge Liang was working on the rocks on his north side. Now the entirety of Zhuge Liang's corner on his side of the map, you know, all has to come through this one choke point, because the rocks are set up on both different sides.
Yeah, every rock has been taken down yet so far, and we've got the lair that's already 2/3 done on the side of Zhuge Liang. He has that lava advantage, which explains those 6 drones, those 6 extra drones, even though he lost a couple of them to the Zergling aggression. It's still a pretty decent game for, it's still a playable game for TLO, I mean, but Zhuge Liang has got a slight advantage here.
Supply block though for a split second here, that's going to hurt a little bit. Let's see what he decides to do as soon as this lair finishes up. Lings are going to run into the main base. They will see that this lair has completed. It's of course important that Zhuge Liang takes care of it. Now there is a spire being thrown up somewhere. That makes a lot of sense. It's already been spotted by that Ling. Banelings will connect. Wonder what TLO decides to do in return. He could potentially go for his own Spire. Not something we see super often. He already invested in the Roach Ward and the Evolution Chamber though. But he's also taking extra gases. Let's see, TLO.
Could be a Muta fight. Really? I'm wondering if it is. Okay, he's going to go for the Roach speed first. Still not sure that he will not drop that Spire, but I think we should see Mutas on one side and TLO just going to go the usual route with Roaches, with +1 attack, and try to put on some pressure on the Zhuge Liang that for now doesn't have all those Mutas already, doesn't really have the Evo Chamber to go with it, so no upgrades if they do transition into that Roach state of the game. But Zhuge Liang has got the initiative here, and I want to see what he does with it.
And I think it's like on paper, this is obviously quite nice for Zhuge Liang. You know, you're getting away while rushing up to a Spire, having a slightly better economy than your opponent, and you're obviously able to play your game so far. You got to be happy with this. This has to be everything that Zhuge Liang was hoping for. And now I wonder what the next phase of his plan is. Obviously, we're going to see Mutas. We're going to see him harass a little bit. But is he going to try to win fights with Muta Ling and, of course, Banelings that are very important? Is he potentially setting up non-stop run-bys? Is it just a little bit of harassment? I truly wonder about the game plan right here from my Finnish Zerg.
Well, let's see, because TLO is actually on the warpath. We see the Overlords that are spewing creep right there. Lots of Queens in the middle of the map, even bringing the Spores. I like it for TLO. He needs some reliable anti-air, and the Spores, they do it tremendously well. Massive amount of Roaches, as we have 4 spines on the side of Zhuge Liang.
Very risky, very risky, and I almost feel maybe a tiny bit too late. The Muta count is actually quite high already. 4 more Mutas on the way, and 5 Queens is not going to be enough. The Spore Crawler, like you said, Fonka, can absolutely be the MVP here, but I think this is a little bit of a risky move. Without the Spore, I actually don't believe that TLO wins that fight, and even a single single spore takes a long time.
Okay, he's got a lot of transfuses, so those Mutalisks, they don't want to take the fight right away against the spore. This spore will actually move a little bit closer.
Jump on the spore crawler, right?
Does he try to go for it, though? There's some transfuses available. We'll see if he manages to do so. There's lots of roaches, no transfuse, no energy left on the queens, and that's still lots of roaches, and we don't even have a roach warren on the side of Zhuge. So yes, the Mutas, they will rule the sky, but if he does lose every single drone that he has on every single base because of those roaches, then I don't think it's going to be enough.
Sick move by TLO. That single spore bought so much time, and now he's obviously able to kill a lot of drones on the side of Zhuge. The Lynx are making this a little bit more complicated, but still 20 drones. Zhuge was trying to hide his drones on the left top side, probably a little bit sad that he knocked down his own rocks, because those drones were all stuck. This base is going to fall, and the economy of Zhuge is absolutely in shambles.
Oh yeah, TLO pounced on the opportunity to kill right away the second Finnish Zerg on his pass and on the pass of Germany for the round of 4, but it looks like a massive victory once again for TLO, maybe pushing Germany 2-1 in this matchup. Zhuge for now doesn't want to tap out, but as he loses the Spire, the only thing he has going for him, which is that massive Muta count, is not going to raise anymore.
Nope, I mean, there's 4 spore crawlers on the other side of the map. The first Hydras are on the way. Zhuge knows it. GG. TLO takes the 2-1 lead here for Germany. And the only player that has not played yet for Finland will come out next, which is the Must-Zero. Solid game by TLO. I was a little bit worried because I was like, is this too late or not? But the fact that he was able to cancel a couple of the spines very early on, I think that really helped out a lot, because that allowed those roaches to roam free almost immediately. And that single spore bought so much freaking time for the roaches to just go to town. So yes, eventually all the queens went down and the spore went down, but not before 2 bases went down and over, I think, 40 drones went down as well.
I like that TLO is just decisive, and that's what he showed in this game. I mean, he had that window, and it was a short one, because as we've seen, there was a lot of spines that were going down here, but canceling about like 2 or 3 of those before the fight even finished, and taking a lot of risk, because you are actually pushing down the map with no reliable anti-air, and you're just banking on the fact that you will take those defenses a little bit too much, and you will be able to take down those drones. It is a close call to make as TLO, and he did it, and it worked, and I love it from TLO.
It definitely felt like a risky one as well, because Eastwatch is a very big map. So imagine if he shows up just a few seconds later, kind of miscalculated something a little bit, and also you think back of that, maybe a minus supply block by Zhuge, like those things do add up as well over time, as of course the Must-Zero will come out now. You know, I mean, great call in the end, because he got the job done, but that also shows TLO he's not afraid to take risks in his play either.
No.
You know, marching across the map on Eastwatch with queens, of course, the spore crawler. It worked out brilliantly. He really got the job done. But imagine if those spines go up faster. Imagine if there's a bailing nest for Zhuge. A lot of ifs there, but in the end, TLO takes a convincing victory.
Even a Roach Warren without any upgrades, I think, would have helped a little bit more to Zerg, just to buy a little bit of time, you know, a little bit more hit points before you can actually go to the natural, go to the third base, might have helped. I've got some other tweets, and I think people are just hyped up about Liquid TLO's performance here for Germany. I mean, what a clutch player here in the quarterfinals, not having the best tournament so far, and now waking up at the perfect timing.
Yep. If you peak when you play against Finland, when you play against Zero, in a single elimination playoff match where basically a trip to Paris is on the line, it truly doesn't matter what you did before in this tournament, because that is the biggest win you can get.
Yeah, and even Sarah agrees with us. He hopes that Sugi or the Must-Zero will be able to take down TLO. So now, the Must-Zero, he only played 1 game. It was a loss. What do we expect? Do we see him? Like,
I think a Turkey Dano type of game.
Yeah.
Because that's obviously what he did on Blackpink. Got himself in a fantastic position against Elaser. Just unfortunately for him, he panicked a little bit. He wasn't really on top of chasing those drones down that were split across the map. And Elaser was allowed to mine off bases that normally he was not supposed to mine from, because he had no way to truly protect them. So I think we're getting ready for some good old Protoss shenanigans.
Yeah, so probably a quick game, but we have to see if TLO will be ready for it. You know, if he actually did his his homework. I'm pretty sure he did. That doesn't really, say right away that you know how to counter those styles. Like, you can know it's happening, but
this
still
is
lose to it.
TLO, though. This is the surgeon.
He probably knows how to do it himself, as Protoss.
With surgical precision, he's gonna pull apart every battery, every cannon. You know what to expect from the doctor.
I do. I also see TLO quite favored in this one. The votes, super split between Finland and Germany. 52% in favor of Finland and 48% in favor of Germany, Deutschland. So you can still vote if you want to make it a perfect 50-50. It's still possible. But yeah. Strong momentum on the side of Team Germany here.
It's obviously not over yet. Even if the Moss-0 falls here against against TLO, then yes, they're up 3-1 and things look fantastic. But is it impossible for Sero to beat TLO, Showtime, and maybe Showtime again? No, that's absolutely not impossible. Some people would even say that's still more likely to happen than Sero losing again. But I don't know, man. There is pressure here. There's a lot on the line. You're also representing your nation. You're not just playing for yourself. And of course, your teammates, they really want to make it to Paris. They too want to collect some of that prize money that Sero has been collecting mostly by himself over the last year. So there is pressure. It's not going to be easy. But let's see. It is once again Blackpink. That is the map where we saw the Moss-0 put up a great fight against E-Laser.
Okay, it's now. Take your responsibility, the Moss-0. Do it. Do it for Finland. Maybe you'll be able to beat the Dr. Dario. We'll see. This map is about to start. I can say also for sure that one guy in production room, Mapu TV, actually filling it. I've seen the signatures at the end of the game. It would come like right away, like super speed. He knows. He feels the pressure. He feels the hype. I hope you guys at home feel it too. In the bottom left, representing Germany right now, 2 games in a row for him. He is TLO.
Opening up with the 12th pool. Alrighty. On the right top side, we're looking at the main base of the Finnish Zerg. It is the Moss-0. 4G or Gateway? 4G. Now he's supposed to scout. We did see Chem open up with a very early pool as well. And even though Chem won the game against Turkey Dano, imagine a world where Turkey Dano would have spotted the Bailing Nest follow-up. If he would have had one more cannon and a battery shield, or one more cannon and an extra pylon in his main base, I actually like his position, because Chem had no economy at all. So now I'm very...
like 1 Bailing Nest and 6 Zerglings after he bust down the wall.
No,
so
you're right. He had like 13, 14 drones at home. He really didn't have much at all. And he was able to squeeze out that robotics facility in the end. Now the Moss-0 will be able to get the first cannon up. It's of course important that he keeps an eye on what is happening at home, that he doesn't take too much damage against Lynx counterattacking. But the main reason why this is obviously nice for TLO, guys, is that drone takes a lot of damage. TLO gets a
oh my god, the 2 probes fall. That's terrible for the Moss-0. He will have a little bit of energy going towards that cannon, but will lose the first pylon, and that means that this cannon is not perfectly walled anymore. TLO doesn't really want to take the fight. He's actually going to expand to the right side and counterattack with those Zerglings.
But this is already nice for TLO. He has an expand outside on the map, and he also has some link presence, so you force out the reaction at home. This probe is going to take a lot of damage. TLO with the perfect link movement gets this probe as well. Dario's on fire.
TLO is on a roll here. He will add on this Roach War, and he doesn't want that game to go any further. He wants to finish it, and finish it right away, putting Germany 3-1 and forcing a revive up on Serral. That would be such a difficult situation, a difficult position for Finland, but it looks like it. The Moss-0 is trying his heart out, but he doesn't have anything going for himself.
Well, I mean, he is going to get a cannon. Okay, I think the probes will make it to the other side of the map, and it still could potentially turn into an awkward game, right? I mean, if the robo does go up, this queen is going to try to shut down this party. There's no shield battery here to heal the probe. TLO is just shutting all of this down. He has picked off like 5 probes in the middle of the map. What a man.
What a man. Playing an amazing game right here and showing so much confidence here. The robo transition will be placed down in his main base. No probe at the opposite side of the map. That gateway, that cannon, not achieving anything here for the Finnish player. And TLO can do whatever he wants.
I thought at first maybe the Moss-0 can still turn this into something. Let's say he does get his natural party going, right? He does get a battery up there, he gets the robo, gets another cannon. Then TLO could still potentially be split over 2 bases, but TLO just getting the first 2 probes as quickly as he got it before that cannon is up is now so incredibly far ahead. There isn't even a word for it.
Yeah, it's just too far far away in this game. It's making his way towards that proxy gateway. Will take down the pylon and the cannon without losing anything, and TLO takes the safer route, the safer approach by making extra drones here and not trying to finish the game right away. He does suicide on Overlord, which I like because he needs to know. It. Well, at least goes deeply into the main.
I was about to say, I was like, you shouldn't like it that he sends his Overlord into the cannon Funka. That's really not necessary.
Yeah, you're right.
No, it's a perfect scout. I think there's only one thing that the Moz-Zero can do, and that's make 2 Immortals in Prism and just try to win with 3 Gateway Immortal. But if this was a ladder game, guys, the Moz-Zero would have literally already been building cannons in the natural of his next opponent, because you don't play out games like this. But this is a tournament game, there is a lot on the line, so obviously you don't want to tap out too quickly, but yeah, I think it's a 4-gate with 2 Immortals and a Prism. That's what I don't know why he's killing his... Is he going to try to expand? I mean, I really feel like he should get a Prism and 4-gate. Maybe he wants to fake the expand to make it a little less obvious, but I don't know, Funka.
At least if he keeps the Forge alive, maybe he can get a random +1 at some point, but now he did destroy it, and even though he has a Prism and would have been able to come out of his main, well, he did decide to go for the Forge destruction. So now it is an army that would just cross the map. Right here and there, should be scouted right away. Zergling 2 Overlords, he sees everything. TLO knows. He's slightly supply block at an awkward timing. He needs units, but he does have 40 army supply to the 20 of the Moz-Zero.
Yeah, of course he has Ravages as well, right? And that's the key unit. If this was harder to swarm, I'd be like, well, you know, Zerg is in a really good position, but Immortals and Sentries, they've won a couple tournaments, but, you know, it's Legacy of the Void. There are Ravages in the mix. There is Corrosive Bow available. Every second that goes by is a great one for TLO as he's severely outmining his opponent, and all he needs to do is make sure he doesn't get force-fielded in the worst possible way, and maybe somehow end up cross-biling his own units, but he's going to come in from every angle. TLO is all over this series so far.
He is all over this, and even the Moz-Zero missing a little bit of his micro by picking up all of those force field, those sentries, sorry, but he does try to go for it anyways. The Immortal, the first one already down, the second will fall, and now it's Corrosive Bile on top of the Prism and the Immortal. Perfect game by TLO, GG. The Moz-Zero is defeated for the second time in this tournament, and it's now 3-1. In favor of Germany.
And the doctor shows that he still got it. Now, this may not have been the most spectacular game of the 3, but what I did really love is, like, obviously I think the early pull is a good response against the Forge, but not necessarily a free win. There are still a lot of weird things that can happen. Printf has a lot of different ways of dealing with that as well. But what I love the most is that he went for the first 2 probes immediately. He got them. I think it kind of caught the Moz-Zero by surprise. It's like, you know, he didn't go for the pylon, he didn't go for a single probe. No, he split up the focus fire, he got both. But then the way that he picked off probe number 3, well, he kind of lined up his links, because obviously links are a tiny bit faster than probes, but if all 6 links chase a probe, you hit it like once every 5 seconds, and it would have made it into the natural. And at that point, TLO is low in economy, so you can't just make too many more units trying to prevent that. But he kind of lined up his links. He got like the triple tap, the dual tap, and then that last tap. And from that point on, he just picked off every single probe one by one. That was really beautiful.
Micro-wise, we know that TLO has the skills for anybody that hasn't seen him play. He's a really hectic player. He goes really, really fast.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
Super speed mouse movement, super fast mouse movement in general. Yeah, he showed it in this game. He kept his cool, and now he's up 3-1 against Finland. He could be all-killing here from what we know.
Well, I have the feeling that the man called Sero is going to be revived over here.
Are you sure, though?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
1000%.
Yeah, indeed. Sarah is coming back from Finland. It's their last chance in this tournament.
It is.
And TLO has been really performing amazingly mind game, and everything is here. And now it's going to play against Sarah again.
What's the map?
It's on Backwater.
Oh, that's actually good news for Finland. Because let's say in a world where Cyril takes care Oh, fast. We got more Bob
Non-frightening photoshops for now.
All right.
Borsty.
But yeah, it's obviously really good for Cyril to play against TLO on this map, because that means that if he would beat TLO, he doesn't have to play Showtime on Backwater.
That is really
and that is the best map for Protoss vs Zerg out there. So, yes, Germany's in a great position, but don't count your chickens too early, because...
Cyril is Cyril.
There's a reason we were, I think, 3 of us to...
All of us went 4-3.
4-3. All of us? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. See, there's a reason for that, and it's still a possible scenario here, as we've got Cyril revived, and could definitely go for 3 wins in a row.
Exciting, though.
It could also end with a 4-1 for Germany.
That would be sick. That would be madness. But whatever happens in the next game, even if TLO ends up killing his own hatchery and gets eliminated 2 minutes into the game, it was still a great performance today, because he really did Germany and his teammates proud.
You heard the man. The next game is gonna be amazing, and there's only one last chance left for Finnish players, so stay with us. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back with us. I'm Hajin and I'm here with Funka and ZombieGrub. And this game might be the last game for Finland and Germany, but Cyril is here.
Cyril is here, and I don't think he intends on losing once again. I think he wants to. He wants to go 3-2-0 and just, you know, reverse that situation that they were put in. But it's such a tall order. I mean, TLO today, scary guy, and we still haven't shown Showtime on the side of Germany.
That's very true. I do feel like if Cyril just gets the ball rolling, though, like if he does take out TLO here, then that momentum could bring him over for Showtime, and then whoever is revived again. And I think that it's even likely that happens. TLO had an amazing build. Abigenesis is a very weird map, but we get onto a normal map, Backwater, right? Yeah, and I feel like Cyril is going to be able to kind of shine a little bit more with where we expect him to.
Yeah, and I also do believe that it is important right now that TLO can... Well, it is important, obviously, because if he does win, it's over, right? But Roddy was saying off-stream that he does think it's a really good pickup for Finland to play the ZVZ on Backwater.
Yes.
Because that's... Now you're avoiding a ZVP on Backwater with Showtime. Showtime enjoying the map quite a bit. Obviously, as a Protoss player, it's one of the best maps you've got in PvZ. So, funnily enough, it is not over because Cyril is here, because the map is pretty decent for him. So, TLO already feels comfortable. He got 3 maps, but it would be such a relief if he was able to close it out right now.
It'd be amazing. I mean, no one would care about TLO's other results in this tournament if he was able to take down Cyril twice.
Oh,
and now I'm curious what the Twitch chat think about this series.
Okay, did it change? Did it change? It was almost 50-50 earlier, 48-52, I believe. And we actually caught production by surprise. They're not ready at all. I can hear
and
speedy
see,
French
now
people.
52% for Germany.
Okay.
Okay.
So it was 52 for Finland, and now it's 52 for Deutschland.
I feel like this has been one of the more balanced Twitch chat results. Like, they were appropriately thinking Finland, and then Germany did start to win, so they did teeter. And I was like, that didn't happen last time, guys.
Yes, indeed. And now it's time. Cyril, back to the wall. Is he going to be able to save Finland? And it's now.
Well, we'll see it on Backwater here. A ZVZ, obviously, we've got the 2 ZVZ expert on the table, so... Yeah,
we really are.
We do think about it beforehand, you know, and we talked to Roddy and we were like, I don't think you have what it takes to cast that ZVZ, to bring it home for the viewers. So we brought ZombieGrub with the most amazing intro you will ever hear from her.
Why would you do this to me now? Why not save this for, you know, the offline finals?
No, it's now.
No?
It
all
is
right,
now.
Fine. You know what? I do love TLO. I'm going to try and do this for him, all right, guys? All right. In the top left, the man himself. He's playing for Germany, and he's about to take this nation war. It is the Red Zerg TLO.
Oh my God, that was awesome.
I know, I'm so great.
I loved it.
Thank you.
And now, this guy is the only hope remaining for Finland. He has to take 3 wins in a row. That's the only solution. Representing Finland, it is Cyril.
Oh, yeah.
Goosebumps, oh my God.
I like what TLO's doing.
Okay, 3 pearl hatch before pool. So he takes a page of the book of Zhuge Liang, goes for 3 hatch before pool, because he knows He's not the favorite here, so he takes every single advantage he can get without even having to interact with his opponents.
That's true. It is highly unlikely that Cyril would depend on a cheese. He can depend on his macro. He can depend on his strong just game sense and his EVZ especially. If it was a best of 5 between them, then sure, he would show 1 cheese, maybe even 2, but in a best of 1, and this is your revive, I think it's highly unlikely that he was going to go for anything too cheesy, so a 3 hatch makes a lot of sense. I also like it because I feel like more often than not, I want to give it like 60-40 or something like that, a third hatch or a gold base turns into aggression.
Yeah.
So if it's not scouted, you think kind of like ZVZ's going the normal way, which it should be scouted. I mean, that just all it has to do is do this, right? Okay, he scouts it, but even if it is scouted, you still have the question yourself as the defending Zerg player, like, are they going to send a lot of drones there? Are they going to bulk up Lings? Can I get that second scout, third scout? And that's where I think things get like even trickier than just, you know, oh, I fell behind in the third base.
I was quite surprised by Zhuge Liang's take on this 3-hatch before pool. He went for Mulisks in the game that he played against TLO. I'd rather see a massive timing coming from the side of TLO, whether it is mass Zerglings or something like that, because you've got a lot of lava, and just remember the only thing that Zerglings actually cost is lava. So if you've got 3-hatch, you've got 3 queens, you can do those injects, you can have a massive amount, and if you micro properly, maybe you can avoid those banelings. Or also a hatchery tech all-in, right? Like Roaches, Ravagers, Zerglings. I would like that on the side of TLO. I just don't like as much, you know, the macro transition after the 3-hatch before pool.
TLO has 100 gas and he hasn't used it for anything yet. What is it going to be? What is it going to be here? Is he deciding based off this Ling scout? He does an evolution chamber, but if it's going to be melee, that's pretty late. The Lings do get a scout in the main base. And they see that the Lings are still slow. No fake speed started here for TLO either.
What about a fake lair?
Wouldn't be quite convincing to be fake. A fake lair would have been kind of cool, but doesn't do that either. Just banking up gas. So I guess his plan really was just to add on the evolution chamber and a Roach Warren, but he's waiting on that one, just doing a drone.
So basically, that opening is like, okay, I've got 4 or 5 extra drones. I've got more injects, so more lava at some points. And that's about it. That's the only thing that I will take from this. Super early Evo will transition into a super early missile upgrade.
Wow.
As we have a lair on the opposite side of the map with Cyril going to tier 2, adding 2 extractors, 12 drones on the side of TLO. As soon as those Zerglings died, massive amount of drones.
I feel like this is something where, like, both players played a little... Well, no, TLO played risky. Cyril was doing whatever he wanted. He was on the scouting, right? But TLO just didn't make any Lings to respond to that. You at least make, like, 6 to 8 Lings. Especially if speed, you'd make even more, and you have that typical back and forth. But he just didn't make any. He just saw the Lings scout him entirely and kept on droning, which could have been a very dangerous thing to do if Cyril did have even... 14 Lings to send across the map. There wouldn't be that much defense. But he called it correctly. But so did Cyril. Cyril didn't make 20 Lings and then say, oh, I guess I can't use them. Why would he? And then fell behind in drones. Like, they both are keeping pretty neck and neck here. Despite TLO grabbing the earlier third, Cyril is responding, I think, very appropriately and matching him on everything.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that... looking at the production tab and the situation right now in terms of numbers or everything, you could never tell that it was like a 3-hatch before pool against a normal opening on the side of Cyril, because as you said, Cyril took every single right decision and kept it quite close in terms of economy. Both players, they will rush up to 4 bases. So it's the basic, 10-minute no rush that I mentioned earlier. It's not going to be 10 minutes, maybe more along the lines of 7, 8 minutes. But they're not doing anything. They're just macroing it up, getting the lair on both sides. Now they've got Glial Reconstitution going on both sides. Even the +1 missile is going to finish in the span of 12 seconds. I can't even believe that's right, you know?
There could have been so many different things. Cyril could have not scouted the third and gone for a Baneling nest. He could have, gotten angry at seeing the third and tried to, all lane against it, which I think he would never do. But it's possible. There's so many ways this could have played out differently. Instead, they both do get to a very similar position around 6 minutes, only having a difference now with the Baneling nest. I mean, the Hydralisk Den, the upgrades, those are even quite similar, although TLO did not go for second evolution chamber. So it's Banelings and drops versus upgrades.
And Roaches and Hydras.
And the regular everything else that TLO has.
Yeah, it's interesting. Let's see if those drops can do something. Let's see what he decides to drop with. It does have overload speed, but it's been scouted by Serral with those. Well, I guess Serral also has it, so. Is it time for fake drops?
I hope so, because I think he's maybe worried that one was seen from that Overlord. I mean, it can be kind of tricky. The one glance, is it a skin? Is it normal? Is it a drop Overlord? But I do hope that he just sends a bunch of fake ones as well as maybe one or two real ones, because he's not going for a Doom drop. That much is now obvious as he literally shows these Overlords to Serral. But he's really going for, well, I guess this is style kind of like a very scary drop. It's not harassment. Like, this is actually going to be a push.
Maybe he also drops on the top of the Hydralist. Maybe it's
this
possible.
Is gonna be
maybe
sick.
He does it a frontal way. I really do enjoy what TLO is trying to do here. 175 supply on both sides. This is such a close game. Sorry, as the Overlords will probably make their way into the main. Does he react? Is there any Overlord that's going to a mineral line? Okay, Hydralist got there.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect defense on the side of Serral.
He knew there were drop Overlords, that makes sense, but TLO not going to go for the Baneling drop yet. He is going to fall behind in an upgrade if he continues to wait. And we have 8 drop Overlords that are perfectly scouted by Serral. Very nicely done. If they're anywhere else in the map, maybe that doesn't happen. More Banelings coming in, and Serral must be wondering what's going on. He's seen now quite a few drop Overlords, and did he see any Banelings? I think he saw some Cocoons morphing.
Yeah, I think he probably
and the
did. As he scouted the drop Overlords, he's seen a couple of Banelings. So now you see the drop Overlords are with the rest of the army, so he might expect those Banelings to be dropped right on top of the army. If Serral is a little bit too clumped up, it could deal a lot of damage.
It's just, it feels like he's... Okay. I don't know if this is going to do enough. There we have splits coming down from Serral, and he's dropping in the middle of the splits, so the Banelings aren't really connecting.
Yeah, but they do still deal a little bit of damage. Is this enough? It's 2-1 again. Oh, actually, the +2 attack has been delayed a little bit on the side of Serral. It's a +1 attack, but those Banelings, they connect magnificently here.
Those Banelings actually did some help there. But you're right, Serral was able to delay the +2 attack. He already had the +1 Carapace already on the way. He does have now 2 upgrades of a lead, but can TLO push through anyways?
He will try to go for it, but he's been surrounded by every single angle, and now those Hydralists, they have got free reign to deal damage onto those roaches with no armor upgrades, and that missile attack being delayed was so clutch on the side of Serral, made it such an easy fight for the Finnish player with 2 upgrades in advance.
TLO had an awesome idea, but maybe just telegraphing it too much, you know?
Yeah.
It was one thing to show the drop Overlords, because sure, those happen as harassment all the time, or a Doom drop. It was another to show 3 in an almost attack, and then be scouted,
10.
he was scouted making 4 or 5 more. So, you know, Serral doesn't split. It's a different story. If he's defensive even and like, kind of hold up in his natural, then that's a very different story as well. But as it is, Serral did not go for this wonky style. He went for all the standards. So he has those better upgrades. He's going to have some lurkers even. And I'm not sure TLO is going to be prepared to work against those. He could drop on them if he knew where they were, but I'm not sure he's ever brought an Overseer.
The technological difference here between those two players is going to be a massive problem here. With one more upgrade coming the side of Serral, it will soon be 2-2 against the 2-0 of TLO. And those lurkers, obviously against a massively heavy Roach army, are going to deal so much damage.
Is he now faking Baneling drops? He's going to force Serral to split, and it's actually going to be about the Roach War anyways. So when you split, of course, you kind of get crowd controlled as well if you don't attack at the time you split. But no, it's
Doom drop.
It's a preparation for a Doom drop.
It's Doom
he used
drop.
to be Terran, you know.
Yeah, exactly. The infested Terran right there, trying to go for a Doom drop in ZVZ. Those Hydralists, do they have the range? I don't believe they do. They miss a little bit of vision. They actually do now.
Whoa.
He wants to drop right on top of the Hydralist. He will go for it. Try to get a fake concave in a way. Thanks to those Overlords getting those roaches in that position that didn't seem possible. The Lurkers, they are a little bit out of position, but a counter-attack from Serral, killing the 5th base, is quite massive here.
Yeah, that's a huge counter-attack as well. And TLO really brought everything to the front.
No, the Overlords, they made their way into the main base. I think there's a lot of roach.
No, it's kind of a fake.
Actually. And he's going to try to take them to the fight, but there's no vision. Those 3 lurkers on the bottom side are actually destroying everything. The Overseers a lot of position as the army, most of it from Serral, was trying to defend the main against nothing. And this is too bad for TLO, because if he did have the vision on the bottom side, I think it would have gone pretty decently for him. GG. But now it is GG. Serral takes it and makes it 3-2. It's still a little bit closer for Finland.
It is a little bit closer to bringing it back. Serral We all expected him to take one loss. I did expect that a little bit later, but he's proving that while he can take a loss, he can still bring it through for Finland. What a really cool game. I mean, TLO once again bringing out the TLO strats, and so many things could have happened. You know, the Overlord drops couldn't potentially not have been scouted, then he doesn't split, and it's, you know, massive damage. He could have reacted poorly to the third base or not seen it at all if he didn't bother checking.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many ways that TLO maybe could have gotten ahead with all of these kind of mind games he was playing, and instead Cero reacted appropriately to every single one.
I can't believe we're seeing Bailing drops on top of the army in ZVZ. This is so random, right? It did work pretty decently, and especially right after that, as TLO just kind of change his decision and go back from the side with the Banelings in front and the drop Banelings in the back. I think it was pretty cool. And this fight, like right now, you see that most of the army is actually anticipating the drop in the main base, but not having the Overseer in the bottom left.
There's so many.
Oh my god.
And they're just not on the left side. Oh.
That's a little sad, because I would have loved to see the fight going a little bit differently if those Lurkers didn't deal that much damage. But still, in the end, you're looking at Roach Hydra Lurker against pure Roach, with 2-2 upgrades on one side and 2-0 on the side of the only Roach player. So obviously it was a tough call, a really tough fight for TLO. But just the execution wasn't there, and he wasn't able to get those Lurkers out. So it was just not a fight that he could win.
No, it wasn't. And of course we have Showtime coming out now as the last player for Germany before the revive. Do you know the map? Forgot to check.
I don't have it.
No,
I don't have
a
it.
sheet of paper or anything.
Yep.
That's kind of sucks, but we did talk about how Backwater is now, of course, out of, like, we know that much, right? Backwater is out of the equation, Abiogenesis is out of the equation, so we have one map that would have been bad for Showtime, good for Cyril, doesn't have to worry about that, but then you also have another map that was good for Showtime,
so
okay for Cyril.
It could still be Neon Violet Square, right? Neon
That's
Violet
what I was
has
thinking
not been played, right?
while we were talking in the beginning, and I was like...
I can't remember exactly. My memory is quite bad when it comes to those things. I know those games have been played in the last hour, but I can't remember.
Yeah, we played
think it might be Neon.
We played, that was the Cannon Rush, and then we had Backwater, and then we
played Blackpink.
We had Abiogenesis played.
TLO played on Biogenesis, so Neon Violet is still in play.
And then Catalyst was also played in the first game. So yes, Neon Violet Square is still in play.
And Acid Plant then.
Yes. Oh, we did it!
We got it!
Yeah. Well, whatever happens. I always forget one map.
Good job. And obviously, not a single person in production helped us during that segment. In case you guys are wondering. Nobody talked into our ears.
They don't even listen to us.
They're not showing any map graphic or anything to help us out. It's just like, you guys are on your own, you know? It's supposed to be professional, I guess, so it's good. So we're waiting. It either will be Neon Violet Square or Acid Plants. Right. If it starts on Neon Violet, I think it's good for Showtime. One of the best map in the pool for the PvZ matchup.
Oh.
And it will be Neon Violet Square.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I think that even with Backwater gone, that Showtime still figures this is a good map for him. Still very proud of what TLO has done in this series to get him there. Even here, Marine, I guess, taking a bullet, quote unquote, for another map maybe he didn't want to play on. You know, we all come down to Neon Violet Square, and Germany still is actually in the lead here. I almost just automatically said on the ropes, but they're not. It's Finland. Although, if Cero to win here, then it quickly becomes a very, very tight race. Oh yeah, a battle of the will between those two guys, because I do expect that if this match doesn't finish here, we will see that matchup once again. But for now, it is his first try in his best of 7, representing Germany as the Red Protoss. He is Showtime. In the top left, as the blue Zerg for Finland, he is Cyril. All right. Hatchery first on the side of Cyril. Showtime gonna go for a normal gateway down the ramp. No Forge shenanigans on the side of Showtime. I'd be super crazily surprised if it were to happen. But no, we'll play a normal game, and that's what we expect between those two, Showtime and Cyril. Rematch of WCS Leipzig. I'm trying to say that as well as Rotterdam. Why even try? Leipzig. No, just say Germany. You know, the WCS event that happened in Germany. Yeah, exactly. Where it's super cold, because it's super far east in Germany. You know, I didn't think it was that cold. This year? It wasn't that cold? No, I don't think it was. Mark actually kept reminding us. He was like, bring a lot of winter clothes. Like, it's really cold in Germany. And I brought all my stuff. I was all bundled up. I was ready to go. I was like that kid in a Christmas Story. And then it wasn't very bad at all.
Okay. But I think 2 years before, when Drogo won, it was quite cold. But you know what? We're talking about weather when we've got an amazing game that's about to start. That's actually starting right now. Showtime, Serral. Round 1. Could happen twice, as we said. If Showtime were to lose, we expect a revival of Showtime. Maybe they actually go for TLO, but it's, you know, we still have this game to be played. And Showtime, in case you guys are wondering, will go for Stargate, as he's done in, I believe, 100% of his PVZs in Nation Wars 5.
I guess a little bit earlier before Warpgate. It felt like that was the common way to go, and then it kind of flipped over, and now we're back to either way. So a little bit faster, but not proxied. He did throw out at least one oddity for Showtime anyways, to throw out a proxy gate on 2 bases to finish yesterday off against Namshar. There we go. So, you know what can happen, but Serral will not have to worry about this. He said in his interview, you know, before this started, that he kind of almost, I don't know if he said he felt confident against Showtime, but he knows how Showtime plays, and he is the scariest still. You know, it's one of those things where he's at least comfortable. Okay, Showtime will not throw out the Cannon Rush or the surprise Dark Shrine really ever.
Yeah, that's just not his style. I mean, and considering how much this game means for those two guys, well, they're not going to go for something that they didn't really prepare for. They're not going to throw a curveball out of nowhere if they're not just, you know, if they're not curveball players. They will play their standard macro game, which is what they are. Massively skilled and talented player in the macro game department, both of them, Showtime and Serral. So Showtime opens up with a Phoenix. We'll get an Oracle right after that. Try to get some damage done. It's the classic story of, can I just slow down the Zerg in his path, in his journey of making 1 million drones and getting Roach Hydra ready?
That is a pretty classic story, and he's not too eager to start it. He does start his own 3rd base in the back, like he can do on Neon Violet Square. Serral, as expected for Zerg, continuing to go forward, and will probably take the pocket forward we've been seeing from everyone. That's what started Showtime off very well against Amsterdam when they played on this map. You know, got the quick cancel, and Showtime has been a little bit hit or miss in Nation Wars for his aggression with the Archon drop, which is what I expect him to do again. And there we see both being planted out at the same time, Toilet and Robo. He, you know, has lost the Warp Prism immediately. He's lost it during a very important fight. He's kept it alive without taking any damage. Like it's of like 4 or 5 games that he's played here versus Zerg, it's been hit or miss. Yeah,
we've seen every variation of a knock-on drop. You're right, but I'd say most of the games that he played on the Europe server was also a little bit better on his side. Obviously, a really you know, ping-dependent mechanic that is the Prism and the Archon. So I expect the good side of Showtime's micro in this game against Serral, but also we could talk about sorry, about a potential nerves issues on the side of Showtime. Of course, he's a super experienced player, but he knows that if Germany were to take this victory, it will have to be by him. He has to win. He has to do it. So maybe a little bit of pressure down the line. But for now, nothing really says this. Does really confirm this. He's playing a pretty decent game for now.
I figure he expected to be in a very high-pressure situation, and it's even kind of... it's maybe even less because this isn't the ace for them. It's ace for Serral. You know? So it's... And not that you ever say, like, against Serral, oh, I can lose 1 game. Like, don't lose 1 game. You're giving him a lot of momentum. Oh, oopsie-doops. But it is something that Showtime can at least fall back on, just the tiniest little bits. I do assume, though, that if he loses, he would still be revived. I guess there is also a question that maybe he could depend on TLO. Although I think that would be a big shock. I mean, what if that does happen? What if TLO comes with the ace?
Well, the thing is, like, I don't want to say 100% is going to be Showtime, considering what TLO showed today. He was able to beat him once, so I agree it's on Abiogenesis. It was a weird build. It was a weird game all along. But it's just a map that also builds those kind of games, as we have some more tweets. You guys have been on fire tonight. Just keep those coming. But, yeah, I think there is an argument for TLO to be the revive player. If he feels it, then maybe if Showtime were to lose, so obviously if you're just coming here at this instance in the broadcast, Showtime hasn't lost yet. It's just a pause. We don't really know exactly what's going on, but we want the players to be able to play in perfect conditions. So that's why we accepted this pause, and I believe we're going back in game in a few seconds. But TLO played amazingly against Finland. Showtime needs to show what he has in store. We'll start with his common Warp Prism harass with 2 Archons, but there's still some opportunities for Germany. They've got different tools, different weapons, because there are this super deep lineup, right?
They are. Well,
even Hero Marine. I mean, he lost, yes, but
yeah,
you know what?
It'd be tough for him. We'll get there, I suppose, if Showtime even loses. So far, not much has happened as expected between these two. Both of them very macro-oriented, mid-game oriented. Cyril almost, I want to say, tricked Showtime into going a little too deep. He showed Queens at first, and then, you know, Showtime even did let the Archon drop off, but there were Hydras ready, so it didn't end up doing very much as the Warp Prism was already flying away, and with that pickup range, which is so good, he is now going to actually commit to this. He already warped in Zealots that are headed towards the 3rd base. He does lose an Archon, which is a mistake. I think he wants to buy as much time as possible here because he's hitting the 3rd right now.
Yeah, it's the Showtime classic here with the attack right on the 4th base as we have the drop in the main base. 1 Archon did fall, as you said. The second one also died. No. Okay, he picked that up. A couple of Zealots were killed in the main. And I would say 3 drones is just not enough. How many Hydralisks was he able to kill in this sequence?
I think it was that much either. No,
superb
16
defense
Zealots.
from Cyril. I can't believe. 16 Zealots and an Archon for 4 Queens and 4 Hydras and 5 drones.
I mean, the Queens died, sure, but I think that's preferable for Cyril, who defended that quite well. Showtime, if there were the Hydras at 3rd base maybe weren't choked in, or if there were half as many, then that attack could have done a lot of damage, at least denied a lot of mining time. Instead, both sides were cleaned up with relative ease. Cyril now taking that 4th base. I guess this 4th base really wasn't that quick. He had to deal with that first and foremost, so it's actually matching Showtime's 4th. And there's no immediate counterattack that would quite terrify Showtime, although it is coming now. He will have Storm and maybe +2.
You know, it's Neon Violet Square. I mean, it's a pretty big map. It's actually quite hard to cross. And that's one of the reasons that we see Terran just living attack after attack, because they do have a little bit more time to get some more units down. And that's the same for Protoss, as we have 3 cannons, because he does feel the pressure. He needs those 3 cannons to help out against that massive amount of Hydralisk. But Cyril is just not going to even try. He just puts a little bit of pressure, forces those cannons, and we'll pull back as we've got another Prism that will make its way to the opposite side of the map, try to get some harass going, as we already have 4 bases, still no pocket expand on the side of Cyril, so he might be able to get those 10 extractors without, you know, spreading himself too thin.
That was a scary moment, but the game continues on. Showtime, I mean, it's in a Violet Square. If he wasn't going to be broken there, it is going to be difficult for Cyril to break him. Oh, finds a Warp Prism. That's really nice. As there's not many opportunities to get just direct run-bys on the ground, you know, huge concaves, although it is still a okay one on this side. But I'm thinking of all those times where he's had to deal with 2 or 3 pressure points or a humongous concave. It's a little less, but now we have Overlord drops on the way, so that's kind of another avenue of attack that you create just by letting yourself fly around, and that main could be in a lot of trouble.
And for now, Showtime doesn't see it. There's no revelation going. I think he filled it up with a couple of lurkers. So we've got 4 lurkers and 12 Hydras, or 12 Roaches and Hydralisks. Showtime with the Oracle actually going to lose it. Oh, misses the revelation.
Oh, it would have been so much better.
This is not a good side, because he will have to defend that this army is way out of position. Does he have a recall available in the main? No energy in the main. And that's 4 Dropalords that will be unloaded into the main with a couple of Zealots and only 1 Storm to defend against.
It looks like he was prepared against something like this, but the Oracle was so close to scouting it. The Phoenix was too, but that Storm is pretty good. Whoa. And with a single Storm, not even a wraparound of Zealots, they're actually getting choked in, but it just wasn't fast enough for Cyril, and Showtime, with apparently a perfect amount of units, now can entirely focus on the defense to the north.
Okay, it's going to be a tough one, though. He's heavily outsupplied, but that's a massive amount of damage with those 2 Storms. The Lurkers, they're a little bit far behind. They're not really helping against those units as the drops are coming back to the main, but the cannon gives gives the vision. One lurker will be taken down, and for now, Showtime is actually handling it pretty well. Now the Immortals will tank the damage, and Cyril has to pull back with 4 lurkers remaining.
Showtime is handling this so well. He's still continuing to dodge around the main as well. Cyril is with a lurker. Finally found a spot where maybe the cannon doesn't see. No, it does. So the Zealots are going to be able to take this out. This has been almost perfect. He lost 6 probes, of course, but he didn't really lose the that many High Templars. I think a couple Archons went down on the front lines, but you know, Cyril was probably hoping for a little bit more there. Yeah. Now Showtime's on 4 bases with an army that wasn't really cut down. Still has a lot of storms. Showtime, though, maybe need to start worrying about the later game.
Exactly.
Cyril's on his way to a hive and a greater spire.
I mean, living through this attack is already quite a massive feat. Like, I didn't expect that at all. I think I thought that Showtime would take a lot more damage than he did eventually, but he still has that problem that he doesn't really have that late game transition as Cyril, because he can do whatever he wants on this side of the map with 5 bases. Is actually going to go for that greater spire transition. Cyril, not finished also, just gonna go for another drop as he actually sieges the natural and the wall here with the cybernetics core. He needs to replace it at some point, and only 1 storm will fall down on those roaches and hydras, and for now that natural is just wide open for those Zergs units.
It's so awkward for the Protoss units to get in here. In fact, they have to wait for the structures to die to even get a good concave, but storms are coming down. Immortals are still barely alive, but the lurkers aren't quite being pounced upon. There we go now. Cyril has to pick them up even, which is a nice grab. But Showtime, as I said, it was a very awkward engagement for him. He expected the army to be coming from the north, and even tried to like surprise it by moving out that far. Yeah. Really backfired on him.
Yeah, and he's got a massive gas bank. He just spent 1,000. Okay, that's 6 Templars, another cybernetics core, the shield upgrade as well on the side of Showtime. But okay, double cyber core actually. And a mothership core. Okay, so that's a lot of spendings going to the side of Showtime, as we've got the Greater Spire on the way, but also adaptive talents on the lurkers, just to get a quicker burrow. Such an important upgrade.
That's very scary. I mean, he's been doing an okay job, but obviously he just then got outpositioned. Imagine being outpositioned and then the lurkers just instantly burrow. That's very, very scary. Showtime also has been not able to apply any pressure since the last War Prism has died. So Cyril is really exploding on economy. 81 drones, 5 bases. Good catch in the Overlord.
Oh, actually doesn't get the last shot, but massive storms on the top of those roaches and hydras that tried to make their way to the natural once again. That lurker this time is not being revealed.
Oh, no.
Doesn't have a Templar.
Oh, no. Okay, well, hopefully that doesn't kill too much over there, as he is dealing with everything. He just barely saved all his probes. There we go. Revelation did come forth. Okay, Showtime still surviving.
It's going to be a Tempest transition. Well, at least 1 Tempest is being built right now. Mothership is 80% done. Massive amount of Archons with now +1 shield, but +3 attack as well. Does he go for it? Adaptive talents, you've seen it. The lurkers, they just burrowed so fast. Do we have any storms? No, that's not a good fight at all. Showtime doesn't have the AoE that he needs against the lurkers. The Zealots, they are blocked a little bit behind those Archons. Can he take the fight anyways? Now the charge comes in. The Phoenix raising 2 lurkers, and he will hold once again.
That was very scary, though. You saw, I think, even in his drawback of the units, he also was like, oh, wait a second, oh, God. As the lurkers probably burrowed way too fast. Maybe didn't expect them to already have the upgrade. And, as his army wasn't there to support him, he didn't have those storms. Stardust were a little far behind. But it all ends up going okay. Showtime on 4 bases can replace kind of army trades like that. He still keeps his head above water, above 100 supply. He's even looking towards a 5th. I like the way he's expanding, too. I think all you need to do is have 1 unit kind of in the middle to make sure they're not coming through the natural again, exactly like that. And then expanding to the north is perhaps a little bit wiser. And the Tempests are now out. So while Cyril has gotten to the Greater Spire, it's kind of matched with Showtime's Tempest, and he's currently only on his way to Corruptors. We'll see if he wants to invest in Broodlords. Does he know about the Tempests that the Stargate and the Fleet Beacon are already done?
I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, the last time he scouted, was with the Overlord drop, so it did
So he knows about that potential transition in Tempest, even though he didn't see those for now. Now the Lurker drags the army back, and that's a 5th base that's supposed to be cancelled, but at the same time he gets the Overlord, he gets the 2 lurkers for free. Did lose the 5th base, so not really for free, but this time we've got storms. First Templar is going to take a lot of damage but not die, but 2 storms way dodged by the army of the Cyril here. The lurkers able to pull back once again. The adaptive talents just coming to fruition here.
Showtime is not in a comfortable position yet, but growing his air army, I feel, does make him a little bit more comfortable. I think that now, if he can secure his 5th base, you really start thinking about ways to harass Cyril, though. Like, getting to the perfect Death Ball army is all well and good, but if you get outmaxed 4 times, then you're still in a lot of trouble.
Ooh, Tempest and Void Ray a little bit exposed here. They need they need something to defend for them. Nice, now we've got the rest of the army, the Archons, and the massive storms on top of those Corruptors. I think maybe 2 or 3 of those did die, maybe a little bit more.
That was bold.
That was a bold move, yeah. 2 Corruptors for a Void Ray. I guess not the greatest of trades.
It wasn't as bad as it seemed it was going to be, though. If those Archons were a little bit closer and got 2 shots off, I do wonder. But that goes back to the bank I was just talking about. Cyril hasn't accrued like a huge one, but they've been trading now that things are going in a little bit more of a lull. He will start to accrue that bank, and we still don't see Showtime adding on anything that can do anything about it. I mean, no Dark Shrine, no War Prism for Zealots, so he's going to have to, start from home and walk across the map or wait a little longer.
Showtime, you don't want to fight here. Do you recall right away? Okay, Storms to push back the army for a second, but those Templars, they are a little bit exposed and it will die. Nice play here from Cyril, pouncing on the army as it was a little bit awkwardly positioned. I like it for Cyril. He's playing a really, really strong game at the moment and will go for another series of drop.
Well, that's very scary to see. Is Showtime.
Empty Overlords.
Will he really be pushed out of position? It's maybe a plan for later, as Showtime is pushing forward. I think getting rid of Creep is a very good idea, giving Cyril just a little bit too much control over the game.
Oh, it might be time for the Caustic Spray on the Corruptors. No, they actually want to go for units here. Awfully clumped up. Thankfully for Cyril, the Archons were not there to deal the damage. We'll get a Void Ray.
Yeah. It's getting scary for him to do that as the Void Ray count grows, too. Like, if he does find himself suddenly running into like 5 Void Rays that are overcharged, he will definitely regret being so free with his Corruptors. We finally have some harassment going down, by the way. Oh, this is very dangerous. Those Corruptors are quite low.
Okay.
Zealots did make their way basically across the map, so that's a nice cancel.
I can't believe Showtime stabilized this well. I mean, he's getting to start on a bank. He's got some pretty decent upgrades. He gets some harass, as you mentioned, which is the first time that happened in over like 4 or 5 minutes here.
Maybe
he
longer.
gets that 5th base. Now, those Hydralisks and those Roaches, they're a little bit stuck here.
Oh, I mean, Showtime is obviously so close to the space, it makes sense that he's going to be able to grab it, and there's not much Cyril can do unless he really wants to push the army fight, which is always scary when that army looks like that. It really has come into fruition as the Protoss Death Ball. Void Rays included here makes the Corruptors really rethink their life.
Okay, now that's interesting on the side of Cyril. He pulls the army on the top right as he will go for a massive Doom Drop into the main. We have energy and we have the cooldown for recall. Let's see how many units he does. It does recall, because I don't think there's any other possibility for the Protoss player to just to not recall here.
Yeah, I feel like this right side army here, the Voiders and the Immortals, would be like maybe pretty good, but a couple Storms would also be very helpful. So he's really got to set up the recall, and his armies were chasing every which way. So it's I think he needs to actually get him collected, and then he can recall.
Okay.
This is taking a very long time.
Taking his sweet time for now. Okay,
there
the recall does come in. Let's see what he decides to bring. Okay, it's mostly Immortals. And Cyril evacuates. He got a couple of gateways, but he didn't get that much, and he's actually losing quite a bit more.
I'd say as long as Showtime remembers to make like maybe a few more gateways. I don't know what his total is, but you still want a solid amount. 6, I guess maybe like 2 more, right? Yeah. 4 more would be ideal.
Okay, no Archons in this army.
But Storms though, Storms, lots of Storms.
A lot of Templars. That's a lot of Corruptors that just went down. I'm not sure about this fight. That was good for Showtime once again.
Yeah.
But the bank is a little bit problematic for on the side of the Protoss player. Doesn't have that much mineral.
Yeah. I wonder how many other Protosses would have recalled all their Storms. Like, I mean, or just would have recalled in a surprise, and messed up, not on purpose, but on accident. Showtime not showing weakness, constantly on the verge. It always seems like, oh, is he going to be out of position? Is he going to trade the wrong units? But
Showtime is
so far,
well.
yeah, he's playing well, but he's still not on a comfortable bank. He's feeling better and better.
Out of 5 Templars enough. He needs Storms to take that fight. Not massive fungal here. All of the Templars are actually blocked. Is it going to be enough? The fungal on the Void Ray will get one, maybe gets a second one in the middle of the map. That's a nice fight. Even has an observer here to get those lurkers out of the way. And Showtime has been playing quite amazingly for the last 5 minutes, really pushing Cyril down to the wire.
Yeah. it's starting to actually push his gold base. I think Cyril should feel a little more like scared. He's lost some of that creep spread. He lost the kind of like 7th base that was felt very safe. Again, if Showtime had some harassment on the bottom left, I think Cyril would really start to feel quite pressured. As is, I think his main concern is how do I take on this army when it's all collected together. That right now with just Hydras he can't, but he will take some Immortals on with him.
Okay, that's good actually for Cyril, trading those Hydralisks for those clunky Immortals, but that do help a lot in the fight. The Hydralisks, some of them will escape, but that was still quite expensive. But at the same time, Cyril trying to outmaneuver Showtime on this one with some Corruptors on the side without the Templars to guard them. That was a pretty decent trade for him. Gets the Revelation going. I like the addition of new Oracles. He needs those Revelations. He needs to know everything about that army. And as Showtime is building his first carriers, he needs to not forget about the upgrades.
Yeah. I'm starting to feel more comfortable for Showtime, though. You know, he didn't just get this expansion, the 5th. He also managed to grab the 6th, despite Cyril, like, seeing it and wanting to deny it. He couldn't. Now this side of the map is kind of his, and he always has that bit of a pocket base that Cyril hasn't really pushed. And might not. It might all come down to defending the gold base for at least a little while longer. They're all rounding out their upgrades, and Showtime did just use the rest of his bank on 4 carriers, but now he's almost maxed out, and they should both be accruing here. There's Graviton Catapult.
Okay, finally, and what about those upgrades? He's got 3 attack for air units and also +2 armor. I like it for Showtime. He's working on the +3, so we will soon have almost perfect upgrades for his air army. And we're not seeing a crazy amount of Corruptors. It's not that he has like already 35 of them. He doesn't have those numbers, and he also doesn't have that great of a bank either if he has to reproduce in terms of numbers of Corruptors. Remember, those things, they are quite expensive.
I love how Cyril uses his Corruptors, though. I feel like some Zergs, they just wait for the final push, and there's like a concave, and that's cool and all, but he's using them like they're fast units, like they're oracles chasing drones, you know? He looks for the snipes, and then he gets out of dodge while they still have health, so... Well, he loses a couple here and there. He is usually trading for like a very expensive unit. Showtime is even defending against this attack, which most Zergs would stop harassing this base. Cyril does not, but is thwarted.
The minimap awareness on Showtime is quite crazy here. Quite amazing. I love it. Was able to storm right away on those Hydralisks, getting some more upgrades on the side of Cyril. Finally, the +3 attack, a +3 attack for air units, and +3 defense in general, as we have also some Ultralisk, well, at least an Ultralisk Cavern and the Carapace upgrade for those Ultralisks that's coming the way of Cyril. That's a lot of Hydralisks. I don't think there's that many units or that enough units on the side of Showtime, so we'll have to pull back for a moment.
Yeah. Did he might have meant to get a Dark Shrine with that Twilight Council. I thought maybe he had lost it and he wanted to get to a Dark Shrine, but hopefully he recognizes and maybe gets what he wants. Well, that was a little scary. He just lost some probes, and at this point, probes aren't the worst. In fact, drones really aren't the worst, although Sterling needs to be careful not to lose too many, as they both have gotten a good number of bases, been on a strong economy for 24 minutes. Now Cyril's going to start tech swapping. He's always going to try and push Showtime someplace he doesn't expect it. And Showtime still is lacking vision. I would say that one thing, if you're going to be like, you know, just really critical, like the one tiny thing, is that Revelation maybe isn't happening as often as it should.
Yeah.
Like, he does often find himself not just surprised by the Hydras, but also the Corruptors. You know, you figure like one or the other shouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah, and I don't think he knows either about the high amount of Infestors that are here with every single upgrade, every single spell available. So he might need to check that out at some point, get some more Oracles, get some more Revelation on the north side. He will actually take 2 bases at once. I love how Showtime is splitting his army. It's such a tough game on the side of Protoss to be everywhere at once and not being, you know, taken by surprise by any of those attacks. And he keeps his defense going on around his, what is this, like 7th base? I do believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, 7th base, and also able to take down both the bases on the north and the south side at the same time. It's just an amazing game to start off Showtime versus Cyril in this best of 7. Remember, 1 game away on the side of Germany to qualify for the round of 4 and the live finals in Paris. And for Cyril, well, he has to keep on going. And if he does beat Showtime, he will have to beat another player from the German lineup after that. Yeah,
and with this game, I do think it's fair to say that Showtime will be revived no matter what. Unless he just literally breaks his keyboard after this loss. So, this game, is still very similar to what it was, I feel like, 10 minutes ago, where Cyril's constantly attacking into him, constantly trying to find these openings, and Showtime just keeps on defending. Showtime's been doing a little bit more harassment, and now even has a Dark Shrine, but his entire game plan here is just, I hope Cyril kind of overcommits, and maybe he will, maybe he already has. The gold base is going to go down here, as most of his army is over here trying to get this base. This is actually the worst army for Cyril to attack into.
I was like, oh my god, this is so smart on the side of Cyril. Now I've got an Ultralist to go for the counter-attack. And for some reason, Showtime knows this, and he already has 4 or 5 Immortals. So now, it might be time for our Finnish player to try and take the fight. Remember, there's still a possibility for the Protoss player to recall out of here if he doesn't like the fight. Now, gets the revelation of those infestors, and knows that there's a lot of them with full energy, but also with neural parasites that could come in handy against that massive army that Showtime has currently.
Yeah. They might just, I mean, once Cyril really gets his bases set up, you know, Spore Crawlers and Spine Crawlers, it might just turn into a real split map scenario, kind of like through the middle, diagonally. And that would be very interesting, because I think both players, they want the other person to come to them. Like, Cyril is only poking forward because he thinks the army's out of position. Sometimes he's wrong. But actually taking on the main engagements, everything like combining together, we haven't seen that necessarily yet. And no one really wants to be the first one to start it.
Yeah, revelation going on once again. Just for the fun of it, how many lavas does Cyril have?
63.
63. That's a pretty decent number. You could argue that he could go back to 200 supply right after a lost battle instantly because of those lava, but it's still not happening right now. And Showtime, I'd say in terms of his base management, well, he still didn't, he still didn't mind anything from the gold base that he has on his side of the map. He keeps on denying the middle bases at what is this? 6 and 12. Is that it? Yeah, it's 6 and 12.
Yeah, you can say that.
So I'm liking this for Showtime. Like, in the grand scheme of things, there's still so many resources to be mined. Cannons will do the job. Cyril doesn't really want to see the Protoss player taking that base.
Oh, no. Yeah, if he can't stop these structures from coming up now, it's going to be really difficult to in the future. It's like the Protoss air army and a bunch of stack defense. That's too scary. He's going to go for it. Showtime's too scared with all the structures up and ready to go.
Okay. I like it. I mean, more on the cautious side of things here, on the side of Showtime, but it's such an important game. We're reaching almost the 30th minute mark here, and Showtime is just trading a little bit of his supply for more carriers. How many are we looking at? So we've got 5 carriers, should be 8.
Yeah, okay.
That's a scary number. If he does reach 8, he's got a pretty decent, 4 Void Rays to help that out against Corruptors, couple of Tempest, lots of Templars. I don't know, man.
It's always tough to call this, because usually you've seen at least one, like, as I said, like, major engagement. Everything just comes together. And we've only really been seeing Corruptors on one side, Hydras on the other, Ultras coming through there. We almost saw it just a minute ago, but Showtime maybe wisely decided not to.
Whoa.
There's really no reason for him to if he thinks he still has a decent enough bank, which he certainly does.
Yes. What is this? What is this drop? Is that the feedback attempt on the infestors? Cyril doesn't know that this army is not part of everything here, that he doesn't have the mothership with him, but he will go for it anyways on that middle base, and I think that's a perfect timing for a Finnish Zerg to try and take that army head on.
Did he see the Warp Prism with the base he just took?
I'm not even sure.
I'm not sure either. We'll see how this goes, but Showtime was not expecting to be pushed like this, hoping that it would continue to be a bit of a stalemate, but he loses, I would say, a fairly important base. He has enough minerals to get it back up, so as long as he doesn't lose it forever. And this plan in the bottom left just doesn't really come to fruition.
Where did the Prism go?
Maybe it died with Spore Crawler.
It would be so sad.
I don't think he's really
like
paying attention to it.
3 Templars, and now the mothership needs to recall.
Recall it!
Okay, he missed it.
Okay. That was scary.
That was lucky for Showtime. That was just such a dangerous move. Like,
it came back.
Such a gamble that he went for that. I'm not even sure what he was trying to achieve. I'm guessing like dropping Templars to get feedbacks on every single infestor.
But he brought the mothership, so he's like, obviously, well, you know, you're right. Maybe he was just trying to cloak the High Templar.
Yeah.
But usually when you see a move like that, they're trying to recall to the mothership. But why would you do that when a Zealot run by would maybe do
what
better?
About Prism Speed? It would be such a great game to have Prism Speed on.
You're right. It's a game where you get everything. You know, like even Terrans are like, should I get Neo Steel frames? Like, it's just one of those games. So I'm a little surprised we haven't already seen it.
Okay, the Immortals, not interested. They'd rather go and suicide on those Ultralisk. Actually, that's a little bit sad for Showtime was able to probably get that base, but not going to take it anyhow. No detection, massive amount of Infestor burrowed here.
Yeah, but he couldn't really, like, he wanted the trap, so he couldn't really reveal them to help out the Ultras. So now they're just in an awkward position. The Ultras can't break the Immortals, but the Infestors want to find the army. Now he knows the army is pushing into him, so maybe now he'll use them. There we go, Neural Parasite's coming down.
Okay, gets every single Templar here, and they had a lot of energy going for them. So pretty good pickup on the side of Showtime. On the side of Serral, sorry, as Showtime is trying to make his way towards the rest of the army. The Ultralisk, they will have to come back, as DTs will probably get to defend against those Ultras around that 7th base. But lost a lot of probes here, now down to 34. Might need to produce a little bit more of those.
He should, yeah, he really should. He was at 5,000 bang, it feels just like 2 or 3 minutes ago.
Oh, the recall in the bottom.
Oh, ooh, starting to use the mobility here. Of course, those are on...
the
Templars
are left alone, and they will die here trying to storm the army. You need to recall once again, mate. One Tempest will fall, but the mothership will be sniped, but it was a recall on the Nexus, so obviously the rest of the army will evacuate out of here. But that's a really expensive unit to replace right there.
Especially after you just lost so many probes. You know, this is a scenario where he would love to just not take any fights whatsoever while he recovers from all of this, build 50 more probes, build another Nexus, and instead, he's not recovering his economy and has to fill the gap of the Mothership and the High Templars. Showtime is starting to lose out in this game, bit by bit. That was I think he really wanted to, he felt like he needed to do something really like a powerful statement. But I think that if he had just continued defending, eventually Serral could have had a bad fight. But Showtime, can't blame him for trying, is now with a Mothership. A little low on the storms, perhaps. I think 6 is pretty good still.
Okay, but still the menace of these Infestors, and I don't think they're... Okay, there is some detection, but the first Neural Parasites will actually come. Massive Concave with massive amount of Corruptors will try to get the first and one shot on those carriers. Massive amount of reproduction here on Stalkers with Blink. I think he does have the upgrade. The carriers, they will hold their own. All the Infestors died, and that was such a bad fight for Serral in the end. Look at this supply.
Oh my gosh. So many things happened right there. The Immortals on the ground were not taken out, so of course they obliterated the Ultras. They weren't even really, it felt like a part of the army. But then he Neural Parasited the carriers, which actually I feel don't do that much damage. The Void Rays, I don't think a lot of them, or like any, I couldn't quite see, were Neural Parasited, so they were still kind of protecting everything. And then the huge weapon of Stalkers, so something you wouldn't expect, but something in that scenario it's probably very good once all the Ultras are gone and once there's only Corruptors to deal with. Showtime took an amazing fight. He was up by almost 60 supply at that point, but now he's the one without the bank, and Serral still has one, and the bases. He has now taken those 3 bases that were originally being denied and harassed.
Yeah, I think Showtime needs to take this fight and consider now that the only advantage that he gets from it is getting a gold, but now the Zerglings, they will get the surround on one or two of the Stalkers. Pretty good pickup here. Not that expensive for Serral, didn't lose that much in this fight. And Showtime cannot afford to lose a single more units. He has a massive problem in terms of bank. Only 3 Templars remaining. He needs that gold base.
Imagine if instead of doing all those tricks with the Mothership out on the map, that he had just defended, recovered his probe, but had another base already being built. He would have taken that fight and maybe had the gold or the north base or something with 50 probes. Now it's like, yeah, it took one good fight, but that's exactly what Serral was, I think, kind of expecting. Eventually he would take a pretty poor fight as long as he had the economy to back it up, and Showtime didn't.
Okay, I think this game will rely around that gold base that we see Showtime's army hovering next to. Now, he does have another Mothership, but I think it's just the small amount of Templars that's an issue. He's in the middle of the map. I'm not sure this is the best fight ever. Neural Parasite will go up onto the Void Ray this time. The Corruptors, they come from the south side.
God,
but once again, that's a good fight for Showtime. Serral is throwing so many units out of here, and that's now 115 supply. And the resupply on the side of Zerg is slightly slower. He doesn't have that many lava available.
He is taking out the carriers, but the Void Rays are really just powering through. But can that continue on? Showtime can't even replace a Nexus, much less a couple of Void Rays. Ling drops in the main is an excellent move. Showtime may be thinking about recalling, decided that he doesn't really have the time to do so. He needs to get going. He needs to really tear down Serral while he has momentum.
It's his time to shine. He needs to fight as fast as possible. He needs to fight the army. I think taking bases out is a good thing, but getting the army out of here, taking that fight snowballing with the rest of the army that he has, massive amount of Immortals, so many Archons as well, massive amount of Void Rays. Does he have any Templars left? I don't think he does. Okay, two Templars, but at the opposite side of the map. He could recall them to the army, but
you're right.
that'd be quite crazy if he did go for it. But this army has a snowball-y kind of feeling to me,
does.
You know? Like,
it does. It works out so well against the Ultras. This might just be possible.
Okay.
Oh,
okay,
no,
that's a recall. He doesn't want to fight here.
Oh, is that the right move? How much did he lose in doing that? He lost this Archon and an Immortal. Probably lost a handful of other things, but not such a huge blow. Was that the right move? Because he took out two bases, but he's still missing 2 mining bases of Serral.
Is it mining in the bottom side?
You know what? It might not really be mining on the
top side. It is mining, and there's a lot of Zealots and the DTs. Nice revelation. Like the fact that he has that he thinks about bringing that Oracle to get that revelation going against those lurkers is quite amazing to me. But he did throw away those units in the end, getting 2 lurkers for his trouble. But the base is still mining. Can we take a look at the bottom side base? Okay, it's not mining here.
Showtime should really just send something to kill that, though, just in case that becomes the base in a base race. Okay, a single Zealot. There we go. He also just wasn't. You don't want to give your opponent any extra minerals on your side of the map because it's not quite to that scenario yet. Depleting Serral's bank like that means that it could go into that scenario. This could go for another 15 minutes as Serral no longer feels confident to take a couple of bad fights. He's already depleted that possibility and still feeling safe afterwards. Now he has to just recover his economy and then think, like, where did I go wrong in those engagements and try and fix them? But it's a very hard thing to fix. Like, there's so many just elements that go into a fight like that.
Yeah, trying to go for hypecast during a fight like this is like, what should I talk about? There's like a million things happening at the same time, and doing it in a different language than your own is actually quite difficult. But it's such a crazy game. 37 minutes going on right now, and we've got the gold base finally going for showtime. The hug between the Ultralisk and Zealot didn't go well for the Zealot here, but that gold base is mining, which means that in terms of income per minute, right now, Showtime has the upper end.
He should also maybe try and double expand pretty quickly. The Serral, again, like, pretty scared to really take real fights. He's going to find an Oracle.
Nice reaction time,
Did Showtime lose anything important in the main base with those Lings, or was it just the cannons and it doesn't look like anything important went down?
Nothing important.
Oh,
Templar Archive's still there. Pilot Council as well. Stargates still available. So let's take a look at the units tab. Okay, so 21 Corruptors, 12 Infestors, 6 Ultralisks, and 10 Queens. On the other side, is that 1 carrier? Only one carrier. 11 Void Rays with massive upgrades. I think Void Rays at this moment in the game are actually quite versatile. And I like that he has that massive amount. Getting those 4 Templars back and running is really good for him. He obviously don't want to really lose those. They are really important against that massive amount of Corruptors. But Showtime is just handling this game quite well. Serral just doesn't find the key to get that proper engagement. And because of how close it is in terms of economies, which should not really happen in a PvZ like this, Zerg should have a little bit more resources available to them.
Yeah.
Well, it makes it a pretty decent game for Showtime, maybe able to close it out for the Manshaft here.
Yeah, it makes it a very decent game. Like, it's not quite in his favor yet. Is what if he does get chain fungled, for instance, and can't do anything about it as High Templar is taken out by something? Because I feel like the perfect scenario hasn't really happened for Serral. It's obviously happened for Showtime. That's why he took such good engagements. But for Serral, like, there weren't those chain fungles. The neural parasites didn't look as good as they maybe should have. And he just is hoping that maybe the next time it will. Showtime is the one with the scarier army. Serral's supposed to be able to remax at least a little. And the Infestors, they're really what he's hinging on here. You know, if half of those die, and he's in a lot of trouble. Maybe more
fungals and more infested Terrans instead of those neural parasites?
I am kind of wondering about it, you know? Like, it's such a complicated scenario. You don't get to see this often. To be able to practice this that often is also quite difficult to do. And it's like, what are the best use of these spellcasters? For Protoss, I think it's kind of easy. Storm is usually the way to go. But for the Infestors, maybe a bit more a question mark.
Okay, that small Ling run by should be handled quite easily on the side of Showtime. Actually, just going to go for it with his entire army. I think it would have been a nice opportunity for Serral to try and pounce on those bases in the bottom side. There's only 3 Archons, and that's the thing. 3 Archons with the army, I like it. 3 Archons by themselves, That's a lot of gases, you know? Yeah, that's a lot of gas going down the drain, so...
Absolutely. And these, okay, he's not going to commit to it. I think he's wondering where the army is, perhaps?
Yeah.
And, I mean, Showtime's also wondering where he should put his army. Okay, now he cleans up the lings and is going to try and defend this. Cyril is probably just flashbacks to all those previous fights. Doesn't want to go for it.
This is such a tense game. Remember, guys, this is the quarterfinals of Nation Wars. The team that wins this game will either push it to a 7th game, if it is Finland and Cyril that takes the game, or Showtime could qualify Germany for the live finals in Paris on 22nd of April. This is such an important game, and now we reach the 40-minute mark. It's crazy that those guys on this map, which is a good map for this kind of situation, you could argue. We've seen a lot of those. Actually pushing each other to the limits. It's an amazing, 6th game here.
That it is, and it's almost reset. It's 41 minutes, but it feels like it was when maybe it was like 26 minutes. Like they both are getting that bank where Cyril's like kind of ×2 here, but it's not super crazy. And Showtime is just going to try and defend again, but Oracle is being taken out.
Every single unit counts here.
It really does, and it still goes along with the idea of like he needs to always see where these units are, and he's been missing occasionally. And then a very important miss here is he loses the Nexus with that many Corruptors instantly gone. And they are not going to have any damage taken upon them, so very bad for Showtime.
Yeah, drops the Nexus right away, though. He does have a little bit of economy, so it's not that... well, it's not that he can kind of really build another Nexus. Burrowing the drone is a cute move against that small Stalker counterattack. The Ultralist will finish. It looks like Hungry Hippo here.
Right, exactly. It's like Rainer Party.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Hey, Ultralist! What's going on, man?
Okay, he's good now. I think
he didn't know that his Kaiser blades are actually like 50 feet long. He should be able to reach against that Stalker.
You think so?
Is 50 feet actually big?
Yes, that's really big.
I tried. It would either be meters, and I know what I'm talking about, or feet, and I'm not sure. But I did say a big number.
It was big.
Big number.
Oh, it's also gone back to the scenario where like Showtime, definitely for the last 6 minutes he really couldn't harass. Anytime he did, he just lost very important minerals. But now it's like, okay, maybe we need that again. But he has to be very smart about it because Cyril has set up this defense. He seems to have lurkers when it's at least the worst time for Showtime. And I mean, it is difficult to do so, but Showtime is now in that scenario where he should think, I need to take away minerals so that I have them later on. Not just about setting down your opponent a peg for here and now. Okay,
Cyril wants to pounce on the mothership. Nice defense from Showtime here. Repositioning his Archons, getting a preemptive storm. To say to those guys, just, get the hell out of here. Don't get close to my mothership. It's way too expensive. I don't have any money in the bank. I can't really replace it. We're looking at 333 air upgrades. What a crazy game here. And Showtime stabilized. Has a lot of defensive structures here. Microing the Ultralisk. It's not the moment that you want to lose an Ultralisk to cannons, right? Like, you have to micro those.
Absolutely. It looks like Showtime's going to take an opportunity to kill a base that still would probably be worth grabbing. All of these mining bases are getting quite low. And anytime that Showtime kills one, he's like, should I even bother taking it? Anytime Cyril kills one, it's like, well, it's already dead. Ooh, a free carrier is always nice to find.
Yeah, it might be the best unit to get for free. Carrier.
Very expensive.
I like Nudis. Yeah. I like Creep Queens as well. It's a pretty nice feeling.
I like when Blizzard or StarCraft 2 starts to run out of space and units lost.
There's just way too many units that have been destroyed in this game. But Showtime for the last 10 minutes has been playing quite amazingly. And in the game of economy, in the game of drones, well, he's actually pulling ahead. He's got the exact same amount of bases as his opponents. And he's able to actually mine from those, and now actually takes out 2 of those bases from Cyril that was still mining. So in terms of just mineral and gas mined ever since the beginning of the game, we're looking at an even game.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Should never happen.
And it's a question of, again, how does this fight look? Last time that it came to this point where Cyril finally engaged, it went poorly for him 2-3 times in a row. So he's probably thinking of that and hoping that, you know, he does just happen to starve Showtime out, but it's not happening yet. Showtime has a pretty good mining base with 12 o'clock. He's now taking, or 6 rather, he's not taking the 7, and that's still definitely a good one to take. Even the gold has a few minerals left over. Cyril's the one that's starting to run out of real mineral patches.
Yeah.
Like, he's just going to have nothing to mine from eventually.
Yeah, and running out of ideas as well. Like, he doesn't really try anything for the last couple of minutes except for those Ultralist run-bys. But that's about it. That's about the only thing that he tried. Maybe I'm a little bit concerned about that small number of Templar on the side of Showtime. Only 4. I wish like maybe he had a couple extra.
Yeah.
Because when he will try to warp some more, and he does have 2k gas in the bank, but those Templars, they won't have the energy to storm right away. So obviously he can still make he can still make Archons, he can still feed back. And maybe some extra storms would not be well, it would be interesting.
They're almost never bad to have.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a storm,
I think that 6 might be a bit more comfortable of a number, but 4 is often like a perfect one, especially if they're full in energy.
Okay.
Although, really hoping they don't, you know, go a little too far forward and get fungled, because that's still the big, like, talking point about Cyril's army is that he has so many infestors. He has Broodlords. I feel like they haven't even been part of the game, but he has Broodlords too.
He just did it like a couple of minutes ago. I think a minute and a half.
Yeah, still, I would just, I'm not even sure if they're going to be
useful.
Yeah, like they might just go down as quickly as the Ultras, but
the only thing that they usually achieve in those fights is getting the Templars.
Right.
If they do move away from the mothership, but I think that's a huge amount that he made. 8. Maybe more Corruptors would have been more useful in the fact that this army is so massive. 11 Immortals, I can't believe. Like those Ultralisk, they're not going to be useful at all.
I can tell you the Ultras aren't going to be too useful unless they get the High Templars again. It's kind of like the main point. But I was more commenting on the Broodlords not because I was judging them for making them, just like with how the fights have gone. I don't know. This air army seems to just keep dissolving for Cyril and surviving for Showtime. It's maybe going to happen again soon. Cyril's getting awfully close. He's also probably getting desperate as he does not have any gas bank anymore. He should probably take the base to the, what, like 8 or something like that, as I think there's still gas there too. He's just long distance mining from it.
Yep. And I mentioned that Cyril was running out of ideas. He did add something to his army, so basically the Broodlords, but also the Spores. That's the first time that he will try to take a fight with a Spore field next to it. So the question I'm wondering is Showtime actually going to accept taking a fight with down there? Like, it just doesn't look that smart for him. Like, okay, you want to take a fight with a static defense? I've got some of my own, you know? Shield batteries, cannons, come at me, bro.
That base was kind of a why would I defend that now? It's completely burnt out. There wasn't that much stack defense that I felt necessity to hold. This base might be a little nicer to hold. It's got a lot of production. Dark Shrine could become important later on. But, okay, he's not going to bother sending anything back.
He's not going to move. Okay, 1 Void Ray does fall. Second one almost.
Okay.
2 Void Rays for a Corruptor. Nice trade here for Cyril. This game is actually going to reach an hour. It's going to be a second game, second hour-long game together.
Yes, it is, on this map.
On this map.
We're totally blessed. It's an exciting game, but it is kind of all these gaps between the big battles where you feel like it's really going to be decided, and then still 20 minutes later, you're still watching the game. Oh, Showtime.
Showtime? Really?
The person who pushes in is almost automatically a disadvantage. So it's always going to be questionable for either one to do so. Cyril probably feeling more desperate without having any gas income anymore.
Yeah, but the Broodlords doing their job. Okay, the shield battery actually gonna keep that Archon alive. I can't believe. Such an important unit to keep alive here. And Cyril now is not in a position that he can push forward. The Ultralists will try once again to go for the counter-attack or the run-by. They got a massive amount of Stargates and the Dark Shrine, as you mentioned, during all of this, and now trying to get some more gateways on the top right. But there is shield batteries, there is cannons there. It was a tough fight for the Ultralists that will actually go and join the rest of the army. Missed Revelation here.
What triggered that?
The Revelation?
No, the stasis trap.
Oh, there was a stasis trap?
Or maybe it died. Well, anyways, it exploded. This is becoming the stalemate that we did see even the TPZ on this map, but maybe a little bit different position. Oracle is just constantly scouting is always going to be so important. Where are those infestors? Is he trying to get the trick on me? But he's also got a observer and surveillance mode, is very good. Although it might die.
Okay, Cyril, maybe gonna try to go for it. Showtime adding on some Tempest because he does want to have an option to kill those spores from afar. I like it. Transfuse will go down on those spores to keep them alive as long as possible. But getting those targets out of the way, I think, is an important thing that Cyril did earlier, because now we're looking at Showtime with a massive bank. He wants to be able to reproduce as fast as possible, right?
Yeah.
And he only has 3 targets left, I believe, and he had 6 of them before.
Right.
So if you can go for 6 Void Rays at the same time, or even 6 carriers, but I think Void Ray might be the unit that you want to go and rebuild as fast. I think it makes a tremendous amount of difference. Even the gateways in the top right might be quite useful.
Okay, he's going to grab those and just kill him. No, I agree. Like, it'll be a scary moment when Showtime could win this game, but then doesn't remax fast enough.
Exactly.
You know, despite having the bigger bank, that would be quite terrible. But he has 16 gateways, and honestly, even the High Templars being warped in from the gateways is most important. But even the Stalkers we saw that one time could be the answer, depending on how these fights go. The very last few remnants of units. Okay. It looks like Cyril has finally lost most of his ultras. This one is the last one. I believe.
They died trying to take down this.
Oh no, he says he has 5, but where are the other 4?
Okay.
Oh, okay. They just got a micro.
Yeah. Once again, this is good. What Cyril is trying to do here with the Archons being. Ooh, those Templars! They go super far, but get a couple of feedback.
He doesn't know for a fact that Cyril's on a gas bank, but at this point, trading 2 feedbacks for an infestor, even 1 feedback for an infestor, is maybe worth it for Showtime as long as he can replace them, which he definitely can. Cyril cannot. It's still 20 infestors, though, so that's a number to tear down.
I think Showtime should know that he's actually mining and he has a better bank than his opponent.
I think so.
It doesn't happen quite often in the PvZ matchup, but like seeing how he played and how he was able to take down bases away from Cyril while getting his own, I think he should know.
Mm-hmm. I think I agree.
Can you bring it? Okay. What he's doing right now with the Renewal Parasite is actually super worth.
Gosh, I don't know what Cyril is supposed to do here. He finally depletes the bank, by the way. Maybe a couple more infestors, I guess. No, Broodlords. Oh, okay. Well.
Okay, let's see the Tempests. He needs to do something with those Tempests.
Yeah, he's slowly picking off the Spore Crawlers. There's been a couple occasions where I think he's lost 1 or 2 Broodlords.
Is Showtime building anything right now? Out of the Stargates? Okay, 1 Void Ray. Okay, more gateways have been dropped down in bottom left. I think having those cannons as well and those shield batteries on those exposed bases, I think is super smart. It might be time. Nice fungal to start things off. That's 1 Templar. 2, 3, 4. Are they living through? Yes, the shield batteries keep them alive.
Oh, shield batteries. Pretty good in this situation.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I guess eventually they could run out of juice, but that's a very scary thing for Cyril to do. He's going to actually go for a Ling run by here and just start working on the structures. Okay. I don't think a base race last structure to live could really happen in this game, but it would help him. Or just tear down production. Like, it's good to use these Lings for this.
Yeah, at least. It's going to take them like about 1,000,000 years to get that cannon because there's a shield battery next to it. But now, energy just ran out. The Spore amount is a little bit late. That Mothership, a little bit out of position. The Immortals were in range of the Spore for a bit, but they didn't shoot.
Well, if he gets that Cybernex core, I don't think he can warp in any more Stalker. Oh, there's another one. Just kidding.
54-minute game, and now we see the latest of latest game armies between those two. 179 supply to 176, and Cyril can't really max out, at least not with gas. It's got 59 in the bank. Against the 3K of Showtime. That's a massive fungal. Can you do something with this?
Oh, I think it's a little too far away. He even loses a bunch of infestors from a High Templar from behind. Sneaky. Very sneaky. And those Void Rays, luckily for Showtime, just take shield damage. Templar Archives is something that he would want to save or replace right now.
This is so important. He needs to he needs to build some more targets and maybe the Templar Archive, as you mentioned. Ooh, Tempest almost killing a Broodlord here. The Spores helping out tremendously. If there's no Spores, I do believe that Showtime has got an opportunity. Oh! He gets the Mothership.
He loses it.
It loses the Infestors, though. Okay, that's a massive amount of fungals. Is he looking? Showtime doesn't really react to it.
No, he's not.
That's a massive amount of fungals. He's actually losing everything. As he's losing the Stargate, I can't believe.
Oh, he's losing a lot of the Void Rays. All of them are very damaged. The Mothership does go down. There's still a lot of army left over, and it almost looked like he wasn't paying attention. It almost looked like he wasn't trying to draw back, but I guess the fungals were just too much. He thought maybe they would run out, or he was trying to find his High Templars, or something happened. Serral finally takes an okay fight, but he's still up against Showtime's bank. He did destroy much of the production, and Showtime was not too quick about replacing it.
He doesn't have a Twilight, doesn't have a Templar Archive.
No,
he can't build any Templars.
That's the only reason he bought the Stalkers, is that the only thing he can build.
And no Stargates anymore, so that means no more air army. Is Serral actually going to win from this position? He didn't lose a single unit from the last fight. It's 168. I believe he was 173 or something. He did lose a lot of infestors.
Yeah,
okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the High Templar started things off what looked to be okay coming from behind like it did, but then a few more during that engagement. I said that probably couldn't go down to a base race, but I guess we should talk about how Showtime can't really maneuver around this. You know, I thought briefly, like, well, why did he just move? But, you know, away from the Spore Crawlers, because that would help. But if he does, he would lose his last 2 mining bases and also potentially all of his structures. So he's stuck here. He has to figure out a way to take a good engagement up against the Spore Crawler wall.
Interestingly enough, yeah, the mineral bank from Serral is actually helping him quite a bit, because he's able to build those spores.
Exactly, that's what I was just gonna say. He's like, that is one thing he can replace is spore crawlers, although he's almost out of drones.
He's making some more, I think. 4 drones still alive here. Okay, the revelation is nice.
Oh no, those shield batteries have been very important to his hold. They've been saving a lot of High Templars, now just giving them away kind of for free here. It's up against Broodlings, so yeah, for free. This is suddenly looking
quite grim for Showtime.
Yeah, grim for Showtime. Even though he takes the engagements when Serral really pushes forward, being at a standstill, it seems like Serral is getting the trickier spells cast. You know, he's getting the good fungals.
Oh my god, I can't believe it's still happening.
We could have another game after this on
We'll have
Eastwatch.
an hour-long game, and Serral looks like he's actually finding the way. I mean, it's not over. Showtime still has a tremendous army, but those spores, he can't do anything against those, and I don't know, the 3 Tempests are not enough to kill those spores, and he will go for it. Serral will place himself super aggressively here and try to get the fight in the bottom left, and that's where most of the remaining gateways are.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Ooh, he's going to just have no protection if these go down.
Yeah.
He's not really at a place where he can afford to rebuild structures, 600 minerals. You want that all into units if you can. But Showtime, he missed the opportunity to kill any Spore Crawlers when they moved over. He missed the opportunity to maybe try and wrap around while he still had another base to depend on. If he loses this base, he is just holed up on one base. All of the structures he has only theirs. Everything else on the map is Serral's. This is very scary, but I still feel like if Showtime really did push, especially the Spore Crawlers don't reposition, he would take a good enough fight. But it's so scary to be the one that pushes in.
But I guess there is no minerals left, no gas left on this map, at least not that much. So just Showtime is trying to get a 200 army supply and just go for it.
I think these Lings are flooding in on the cannons and the Ultras as well. The static defense still important, still helpful to have in case you can go back to it. It's being destroyed.
Ooh.
He'll finally lose the Ultras, but the blink game was
crazy blink forward.
Yeah, that was unnecessary. That was, I need every single stalker alive, and I just lost 2 or 3.
Okay.
Oh, he's not even going to kill the Ultras.
They're actually going to escape. I can't believe.
They're supposed to die. Like, I mean, to note here, we haven't really said this clearly, but Serral has been winning some of these engagements with a massively lower supply than he really has, because these Ultras have always been here doing other things, not really helping the main engagement. So I feel like they should have gone down.
Tempests by their own, Templars on their own as well. Storms will land, but he needs to finish those Corruptors. Is this going to be enough? Orange health now in the red, but the Corruptors, they do make it out. He lost about 5-10 of them. The blink forward gets the Overseers, gets one more Corruptor. Can he get another one?
No, no, he's not going to risk it.
This is so close.
He's not going to risk it. I don't think he knew where the army was. The Observer only had, kind of some sight on it. It's very scary, but that was a lot of Corruptors to go down, and he has to wait a while for them to regenerate, too. They immediately started fighting again. I guess just transfuses as well. Okay, then that would have been scary, but that... I thought Serral, if this happened, I thought Serral was going to go in and try and kill the base. Showtime even thought that. That's probably why he's throwing down a Nexus here. But he no longer has any minerals to do so. He can throw down one assimilator, and that is going to be it. But Serral's not going for the base race. He's trying to take on the army.
The Infestors, they try to go for the Fungal. Showtime sees it. First Fungal, only connecting on a Tempest. That was such a ballsy move. Nice blink forward. Gets an Infestor. Now brings the number back to 13. This game just doesn't want to end, and now we reach the 1 hour mark. As this is game 6, and we, just to remember you guys, it could go for another game if Cyril were to take it, but Showtime has the more mobile army. He's got way more army supply as well, 166 to the 144.
Yeah, especially considering that sometimes these units of Cyril look almost useless. Okay, it's very scary. Both of them includes a lot of important spellcasters.
I could argue actually that you should go for like maybe like your Templars on control group 8.
He really,
so you don't mess that up.
He really doesn't want to lose this Nexus. I mean, things could really go to last building surviving for Showtime. Cyril has plenty of buildings. And to lose a Nexus to a handful of Lings would be absolutely terrifying. But Showtime moves his entire army to save that, which a little bit unnecessary. Is going to allow the advancement of the Spore Crawlers.
How is this possible?
This goes to a base
on
race,
the Violet Square, and those guys, they are...
If this goes...
This is such an important game. They don't want to throw it away.
Oh, the concave?
Showtime sets himself up with a concave. Does he have enough? Does he want to finish?
I mean, he still has to go up a ramp, so he can't really set himself into too great of a concave. Gonna go up. It's gonna go up.
Blink forward.
It's gonna happen.
Blink forward. Gets a Broodlord. Not even. The Transfuse comes in. Void Ray take the fight against the Spore. I'm not sure that is good. Oh, Cyril doesn't react. Massive storms on top of the army, but Fungals will go down on the Templar. Are we seeing the end of this game? All the infested Terrans get destroyed. And Showtime, I think he's doing it. Is he doing it? Is it enough?
Yeah, the Neural Parasites are really quite good, and Ultras come in! The Ultras that look so useless, can they actually do anything here? Immortals are still alive. Neural Parasites are taking out a lot of the Protoss army, and did Cyril just do this?
No!
No, it's too much!
Enough. I think Showtime does it for Germany! The Infestors, he doesn't have any detection. The Infestors, they will actually get out of here! Does he have... Show me the vision! Does he have it? No, the Infestors are escaping!
There's no oracles, there's no observers! Can he even build them?
He doesn't have the money!
He can't build any. He doesn't have any.
He can't build any detection.
What?
What am I watching?
What?
And
Wait
those freaking drones going for the long distance mining. What is this?
What happens now? Okay, he just uses his last bit of minerals to make a couple of Lings. There's still a lot of buildings to kill for Showtime, but his Infestors now, they're still being alive. They can't take on the army, but can they kill the buildings? Or can they take on the army? Can they?
Just no interceptors. Not a single one.
Oh my
Showtime
God.
has got 4 carriers that are useless.
They're absolutely useless. Did Cyril notice that?
He's got massive ships that don't do anything. They can't attack. They literally can't attack.
Oh my gosh, I think he really has hope. He really wishes those were Void Rays.
Oh my god, those Blink Stalkers, they will die. He recalls instantly. Oh, both of them are playing super safe right there, but the Immortals, he left them behind. Oh my god. Just don't show yourself. Don't show yourself on creep. The Zerglings will come in. Okay, the Archons are there. The Archons are there, though.
Detection? How is there no detection?
Is this really like a base trade kind of thing that's going to happen in this game?
I really think that it is. I think it's Cyril's best chance. And I'm still not even like, can the Infestors win a straight up fight? That's still a question, right? Because the carrier is just useless. Let's just take them out of the equation. Unless, you know what's funny is he doesn't realize they have interceptors and he like tries to focus fire them. Oh, that'd be so bad for Cyril.
Oh my god. Oh, those units, they are a little bit alone. The Infestors, they are coming and there is no recall available. That's such a massive win for Cyril.
Oh god, that's
who will actually get 2 Immortals and 2 Archons with the Neural Parasite. The Stalkers, they get eliminated. The Archons, they shoot at each other. What's happening, guys?
It's gonna be 1 Tempest.
And now he knows there is no Interceptor. Cyril has done it.
There's going to be 1 Tempest, and that's it. Cyril takes the game and will advance the series to an ace match. How?
Oh my god, what the hell is happening? Cyril just doesn't want to tap out. 1 hour and 5 minutes into the game, he makes it.
Oh my gosh. How did it? Oh, we have to watch that last fight again. Amazing. All the infested Terrans die. There's a billion storms. It looks so good for the Protoss, and he cannot kill a couple of the last infestors.
The scenario of this best of 7, and I know, like, the chat right now should be typing scripted, because yes, we will go into that game 7 that every and each of us actually called. It's a 4-3. Will it be for Germany? Will it be for Finland? And this game, look at this. We've got clips from 10 minutes
Oh,
this game lasted for an hour and 5 minutes. It's just, there's been so many great stuff that happened in this game. I mean, Showtime played a brilliant game. Serral just never let go and had the upper end for the longest time, and Showtime was able to defend quite perfectly against that multiple pronged attack. It's just, it was just like we've seen everything in this game. We've seen everything.
God, what if he didn't actually make that other Nexus? What if he had 400 extra minerals without interceptors?
What did he? Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
What if he has an observer?
Yeah, well, yes. Okay, that is the most obvious one. What if he had an observer?
Kills every single observer. So that's the thing, right? Like, we're looking at a game of StarCraft that lasted for an hour. I don't know how many resources there is on this map. Maybe like,
I don't know. It's a lot of bases.
Is it by base? I don't even know.
It's like numbers.
Oh my god.
I don't know, but it got completely, almost completely mined out. There's the long distance mining.
There's like 1 million resources on this map, and it ended up being the difference between I have an extra observer, which is, I recall, 25 minerals, and I don't have an observer. So it's like you fought with like 1 million units, you threw away so many resources, and in the end it's just, I got every single detection unit out of you, and now you don't have detection. I get out with my infestors and probably win the game.
This was the beginning of all the fights that went into favor of Showtime. The first one we just saw that was surprisingly well at the end. This one went really well. Then he kind of he wanted to stop his momentum, panicked a little bit. I guess we skipped way far ahead. Thanks, guys. Just so far ahead. And now we're into the desperate scenario when the Lings did take out the bases here. I think it did force Showtime to really consider the loss of his last building to build that Nexus.
This fight was great for Serral. That's the first really decent fight after the stalemate situation. That was the first decent fight from Showtime, from Serral, and it actually made Showtime use almost all of his bank.
Yeah.
And at this moment, he was just not going for it, and that's the last fight.
This is the last fight. This is something that he just decided to do. Nothing really, I think, triggered necessarily, but he was like, I got to go now.
He already has no detection, right? Like,
at the
start of this fight, he actually doesn't have an observer.
He does not. Serral doesn't even think about burning his infestors until just now, until he's tossed out all the fungals he thinks he needs.
What a crazy
I thought he was going to die because the infestor would be taken care of, and then suddenly there was still like 4 more Storms. I thought that was going to be it. Storm's pretty good unit, but infestors just a bit better.
Oh my god.
The interceptors all died. The mass amount of spore crawlers ended up not just helping by killing, like actual the Terriers, the actual Void Rays. They helped by killing the interceptors.
I didn't realize that Mapu was actually going crazy for Germany right after that, because he thought that Germany won, actually, right? Right, Mapu? You thought he won. You thought he won, and he actually went to the bathroom. It was an hour-long game, so he needed, AFK
That's
bio.
Understandable.
But what a crazy game. And what a crazy scenario. Now we get that last map, that last game, and we expect Showtime?
Yes.
Do we expect Showtime? Is he crushed? Is the question I'm wondering.
That is a good question. I mean, mentally after a game like that, you really got to recover. Physically, even, I think they're both standing up and shaking off the rust. But it's got to be Showtime. It's going to be on Acid Plant, by the way. I misspoke for a second during the game, but
it's getting hot in the studio right there.
It was already hot. Now it's really, really hot.
Okay, they will go for Showtime. Okay, the best player here from Germany will take another shot at Serral. Took him an hour, more than an hour, to lose. And now he has to go back.
I'm going to remember Funka shouting, "There's no interceptors. These are useless carriers," until I die. That was such a great moment.
They are so useless. Oh my god, it's like a massive unit that costs $1 million and you can't do anything with it.
Oh, gosh.
What a shame. What's up, Ajin? You don't have a headset.
She's just here to cheer, apparently.
Ah, she's just here to cheer.
Okay.
Okay, Ajin. Was it the best game you've ever seen or what?
Well, I don't even know.
I think that was the best game I've ever seen.
I was like, Tobias is doing it. Oh my god. What the heck is going on?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
That game.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was just like
that was
so
mental.
good. I mean, it's so intense. It's
Imagine. Imagine. It's not. That's that. Okay, let me take a second to breathe, actually, and remember how to speak.
Oh my
right?
God.
So what I find amazing about this is that it's an amazing game, right? Like, nobody's going to say anything against. If you do say it's not a good game and those players looked shaky in this game, I hate you.
You're probably on Team Liquid. Oh, I said it.
I knew you were going there. But if you don't think that game, well, it was an amazing game, right? But it doesn't happen, you know, in round of 32, right? Or even like, you know, in the opening match of round of 16. No. It is game 6 in the quarterfinals to qualify for top 4. And Finland, they're back against the wall. And finally, he does it and pushes it to a game 7. Like, how?
Mercy segment is real here. Okay, so Mercy, he's a German for those for people who don't know.
Didn't figure that out.
So Mercy is rooting for Germany, of course, and that game was absolutely unique and amazing to watch.
And it happened at a really crucial moment, is what I was trying to say as I was like blabbering and, you know, missing every single word. It happened at an amazing time, like such a crucial moment, super important game, qualification for the top 4 and getting to Paris. And also that an hour and 5 minute long game where you see 5 carriers and like 30 supply that's just worthless. You don't have any interceptors, bro. It's like, oh my God, like.
Yeah. Yeah, no Parasite, so...
And now we'll shut up forever.
So good to
It's so scary.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna have a Zerg nightmare tonight.
Yeah, I think a lot of Protossers are having nightmares after that. But what's funny is that I think a lot of Zerg players for about 59 minutes in that game are like, you know, flipping Protoss, this is such BS. Like, what do we even do against this? He's lost every engagement he's taken. And then suddenly he does win, and they're like, well, that was still pretty BS, man. Like, I don't know.
Oh, it was 50-50. You guys are amazing. You guys are amazing.
It's so
That's
good.
beautiful.
1 game left in this series, and the winner is going to advance to the round of 4, and the loser is eliminated. Is out from this National Wars. It's so crazy, and here we are, Nassim playing for the last game of the day, and last chance for Finland and Germany.
Imagine we play that game and then a biogenesis. Take that. Take
so
that.
funny.
You like that hyped up situation. Now get yourself some biogenesis in PvZ.
That would be so not perfect.
Yes, I would like
Very
some
not
water.
perfect, but that would be amazing. Oh, awesome. There's no way a game looks like that again. I mean, there's just...
Whoa. Don't jinx it.
Yes, I'm sorry. It's highly unlikely, but we are into this final game, and man, I just feel like this is I need to warm up again, you know? Like, all that hype went into that last battle. Okay, let's do this. Oh, in the bottom right, the last man for Germany. It is the Red Protoss. Showtime.
Showtime fighting!
And his opponents in the top left might be able to all kill. Didn't lose and didn't, you know, never let it go in that last game. After an hour and 5 minutes, he was able to take the win, even though it didn't look so good. It is Cyril.
Cyril fighting!
Longest introduction ever.
Oh, this is just... It's just a crazy scenario to find themselves in. I think both of them... Cyril probably thought he was losing for quite some time. I mean, there was times where he was losing the fight, and then there was, of course, times where he was down in bank, you know, probably thinking he was very desperate. So what is going through his mind as he's barely brought it back? What is going through Showtime's mind, who maybe thought that he... I actually don't know what exactly Showtime has been thinking, you know? He probably figured out he was ahead on the bank when we talked about it, but he probably was still like, well, I don't know how to engage this any better than anyone else does. So that's why he did it at the last second, kind of just made the choice to go for it. So what type of a mentality is he in? This is going to be, the 7th game is a test, of course, between these two amazing players that have played each other so often before, but it's also a test of their mental fortitude in a way that perhaps has not been tested before.
You're absolutely right. I mean, if Showtime, after losing that 6th game, actually managed to take the win for Germany, but what a freaking boss. Like, it's so hard to keep your hand in the game. It would show so much resilience on the side of Showtime if he was able to. And I'm not talking about Sarah right there, because Sarah won the game. Like, he got what he wanted out of it. He pushed the best of 7 to a decisive game, so he might feel good. Obviously, he is tired. It was like such a draining game that they just played, and on both sides. So it's not just about Showtime, but Showtime got the worst end out of this scenario. He lost the game, and now it's his back that's against the wall. I can't figure out my words. My God, how do you call that?
I wasn't quite following your train.
Okay.
I want to help, but I'm just like, I'm not sure either.
It's
we use all the words there, you know. At least we're stumbling
used.
over words now when it's all calm and stuff, and at least we got to the hype out, you know, without stuttering too much in the final battles. But right, so we expect this game to go like the other ones these guys have played, exactly like the last one. In fact, this was the map Showtime showed the proxy, but I don't know, he just really does it. So trying to think back to what was really that mid-game about. Mid-game was 55 minutes from the end of the battle, so it takes some time to remember. It was about Showtime defending. Showtime had a very solid map to come out on, and that was, I feel like, a large portion as to why he did hold in the mid-game when Cyril looked like he was about to multitask him every single time. Ooh, we do have something mixing up.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So if Showtime went for the exact same opening, once again, I would have been flabbergasted, right? Like, you play an hour and a 5-minute game, and you still have the courage to go for the exact same thing. You don't want to rush things up. You want to go into a normal game once again. That would have been quite crazy. But as I say that, it did go for Twilight quite early, but it follows it up with a Robo. So it might still be the exact same thing as we got a quick lair on the side of Cyril, though.
I know we've been seeing like lots of 345 lairs, in fact, from Namshar, but this is just a even quicker one from Cyril. We'll see what if he does anything specific with it. If it is just going up to straight up to Hydras, then I am a little concerned, because Hydras against Lings and Hydras, right? He doesn't have a Roach Horn, he doesn't have a Baneling Nest against a charge lot all in. They have to be in very high number to really work out, and is that going to be the case? Is Cyril even thinking that Showtime might mix it up this game, or is he assuming that they both will play straight up as they always have, seemingly, against each other? I don't think Cyril's been scouting very much. In fact, Showtime's the one doing a lot of scouting here. Sees the Hydra list then.
Okay, Showtime actually wants to go further and wants to go fast in this game. He drops a lot of gateways and charge lots right away.
Oh boy.
He will try to finish this one early. He hasn't been scouted on the side of Cyril, but I can assure you guys, this game is not going to last an hour. It is not going to last an hour. Cyril doesn't know anything. He will be caught by surprise, I do believe, and he's rushing straight to Hydralisk. No roaches, no banelings, nothing on the side of Cyril.
He saw 2 gases being taken in the natural, but Showtime even stopped mining gas in the main base. Cyril is desperately looking around. He always usually gets these lings to see a Warp Prism going across, an Oracle going across. All he's seen is 3 Adepts, and the third base that is a little bit later, so he's probably wondering, where the heck is that Warp Prism that usually attacks into me? Where's your third base? Now he's going to see all these charge lots, and Cyril has a lot of Hydras that have already been made, but is it enough? Straight up Hydras and Lings against straight up charge lots. Only 5 does not seem like enough.
Oh, that Prism is awfully exposed here, but the Hydra and the Queens are not going to try. He's trying to wall at the last possible moment with some Evos, but the Zealots, they're actually surrounding every single unit that there is on the side of Cyril. Is it enough, though? Quite well defended here with the drones on hold position.
What?
Is it enough? He's actually defending this. How is it possible?
What?
The new Warping of Zealots, though. Chess, is this enough?
They're having such a tough time actually getting through even a drone in the crack of the mineral line. But finally the drones are starting to go down. The Hydra count still hasn't grown to much more than 5, exactly 5 in fact, and Showtime is bringing forth the Warp Prism even closer. Cyril desperate to get these units out, but Showtime has so many Zealots still to throw out here.
Once again, what an amazing defense on the side of Cyril. He didn't have that many units to defend with. Zealots are supposed to shred through Hydralisk when they are not in high numbers like this. But the defense in the mineral line was such a clutch one, trying to get the third hatchery out of here, but there is no signs of transition of the side of Showtime. Doesn't throw down the Templar Archive, doesn't throw down a Forge as well. He wants to go for the fight, warps in formal Zealots. Jess, I think it's do or die here for the German Protoss.
It is. Cyril has had so much more time than expected to get a lot more Hydras, but he's actually been gas-starved for a lot of this time. One of his gases was on this base, which of course has been taken out of the equation now, and Cyril is probably really feeling like he should have many more Hydras ready to actually maybe hold the secondary push. But we finally have a bit of transition on the way. Showtime throws the Templar Archives, was not confident enough after so much time given to a guy building Hydras. What if you run into them behind a wall and there's 15? That's some scary stuff. So he's really got to evaluate the situation. It is like that many Hydras.
Do you really want to go? Do you really want to go there if you are Showtime? There is a almost a perfect wall here for defense on the side of Cyril. He's actually going to try to go for a double-pronged attack with some Zealots in the main, but you don't want to lose that Prism, Showtime. The Hydralisk, they rush down towards that Prism, but the Zealots now, they might be able to get a Hydralisk clutch transfuse, and he saves everything. Oh my god, the Prism's not moving.
Oh, okay. And we're good. And we're good. He tried to actually attack in the natural during that, but the wall was still pretty darn good. And even if he gets behind the wall, which he did, there's still like the hatchery to go through and drones to be pulled and put on the hold position. So Showtime has started to accrue a gas bank. He put his guys back in a gas. Of course, he's only been using minerals this entire time. Now he has a big bank to use on Archons.
Okay. If he could get, if he could remove that creep, that would be so useful for him. I mean, he's setting up all his zealots around the natural. For now, Cyril is just blocked on 2 bases. He can't go any further. He will drop a Baneling Nest. I can't believe that we go from a massive ultra late game scenario to an all-in that just won't finish. 8 minutes, 30 seconds. Still nothing but zealots on the side of Showtime, but now transitioned into Storm. Not even Archon.
Yeah.
Storm.
He's not going to go for the bust. The Archons might have helped, Bridge literally attack over a wall, but it still would have been scary, and with the Banelings now on the way, it's going to be even scarier. Cyril now upgrading his hydras even more, getting the range. They originally go for that speed. I think he's now realizing that, hey, this is going to go into not a normal game by any means, but into a game. As Showtime slaps down his third, we'll have Storm to back them up in case Cyril was to surprise him and just immediately counterattack. These storms, the amount of storms that he has, would be enough as long as the Banelings didn't get fantastic connections, which Cyril's not going to try and go for it. Obviously, Jestlings can't do that, but he is going for centrifugal hooks now. They both are repairing their economy. No one really has any upgrades. Oh,
They're
boy.
going back into a normal game. Well, as you said, no upgrades on either side. No Forge, no Evo Chamber, either from Cyril or Showtime. Oh, those Zealots, you don't want to miss those. Like, you don't want to lose those, sorry. If any of those 2 players take a bad fight right now, it could be game. It could be the qualification for the round of 4. Game 7 between Finland and Germany. Is Showtime really attacking right here as he has his third base about to finish?
I mean, it's definitely possible. We'd expect that in a different scenario, but we'd expect this. He does stop building probes. He's going for it. An observer's going to come in and help clear up creep. Did he scout the Baneling Nest? Does he know he's about to run into a bunch of Banelings?
Oh my god.
I mean, he doesn't know that exactly,
doesn't reveal it.
But does he even know that there's Banelings? No, but hopefully he's thinking of it. Whoa! Whoa, that was very close.
Okay, now he knows, but that was before centrifugal hooks.
Yes, that
Next
is true.
time it's gonna be tougher, even on creep, and that observer can't get here fast enough. He needs to remove the creep. He doesn't want to take the fight. There's a massive amount of Banelings. First Storm, the Banelings connect with the Templars, and every single unit is coming from every side. Cyril pushing back Showtime here.
Oh boy.
He won't die right away, but that was a really great fight for Cyril. Now has the momentum in his game.
Yes, I do love the recall, but he keeps the Warp Prison around to continue harassing. If he had just pulled back after seeing that Cyril was prepared for this, he hadn't over-droned, he hadn't not gone for Banelings, then maybe he continues to push and it actually works. But seeing that, I think he should have just pulled back entirely and just set up defensively. Now it might be a little more difficult to do, although his army supply looks good. Banelings could very easily change that. They do change the economy instantly.
Cyril goes for the throat and actually going to take down that third base. Showtime's not going to even try to defend that massive amount of Banelings. He's actually pushing Showtime in such a weird spot. He needs to build. He's actually building Stalkers. I think we've seen 7 of them just being whapped in right there. But you don't want to lose any of those Zealots against those Banelings. He lost the third base, lost 12 probes in the process. And Cyril, what a clutch master, actually brings it back after being on the verge of being eliminated here with that Zealot all-in. That was perfect against a rushed Hydralisk technology like this.
Yes, it was. That should not have been possible. The initial Hydra should have died, but they were protected by just the amazing drone hold, queen hold, and evolution chambers. But this game does continue on. Cyril, I think he was right in trying to counter immediately, but do note that he was also on not a fourth base, so a low economy too. And by killing the third, I don't think that absolutely kills Showtime, but obviously it does throw a wrench into things, as this game has just been wrenches all over the place. And Showtime is still going to need to do something here, even buy some time, get the Lings off his back, maybe kill a couple of drones. But it looks like his probes are the ones going to go down.
Yeah, the probes are actually going to go down. There's also not a Zealot blocking that natural wall, so might even get a run by to the natural, but will probably cancel that base. Zealot will charge into their own death against those Banelings. He doesn't have enough Archons to tank those. No Immortals, no extra Archons. That's a major issue here for Showtime that will have to cancel again his third base. We're looking at a 12-minute game where Protoss can't really expand to her third base. Not even going to take that hatchery.
He gets it very low and he's still continuing on to the third. When there's not a huge concave, this is where the Storm suddenly look absolutely fantastic. And this is not something that Cyril has set up in advance. He is responding to many different locations at once, but it looks like they will be cleaned up. 12 drones went down, but Showtime still not on a third base. Really playing with fire here. Any of these Banelings connect well and he could be in trouble, but same for the Storms.
Oh my god. Can those Templars change the fate of Germany? Everything is on their shoulders. Still no third base. Showtime not warping in any units for now. Does he have a Prism on the right side?
The left.
Oh, he does not.
Oh, he lost it.
He lost the Prism. He lost both Prism, which means no reinforcements. He's got so much gas, but that was an amazing amount of Banelings that went down for nothing. Just a storm on the side of Protoss. Just use every single gas that he had. 8 more Templars. Should be 4 Archons. Showtime is on a clock right there. He needs to finish right here and then.
Archons are definitely a good thing to add in, but is it too little too late? I mean, is he...
Are they blocked?
Is he being outmassed? Yeah, they are blocked. It's going to kill his Chimeric score. He has enough minerals to slow down a Nexus, but that is not a part of his plan here. He did tear down Cyril's third base, but he knows the fourth is up and running, so maybe still not feeling strongly about a potential macro game. No? Okay, throws down one at the front. So that's to any of the sides. This game is crazy, but Cyril is not a great economy, but it's something where he's been able to save a ton of his units as well, and his units are very good against well, potentially very good. It all comes down so much if there's a choke or not.
Yeah, and to execution. I mean, if those Banelings connect with Zealots, if they connect with Templars, we're looking at a one game for Cyril. If those Banelings, they don't connect, they die to Storms, or they connect to Archons, then suddenly it's a totally different fight. It might be the last engagement. No, Cyril pulls back for now. Fourth base on the way, on the side of the Finnish player. And now, there's the choke that you were mentioning. Just a couple of Banelings on the left side, but most of the units are on the north side. Do we have enough Storms for Germany? Do we have enough Storms for Showtime? Cyril is going for it!
No, he doesn't. He's going to back off. It's very scary for both players, but Cyril is pretty desperate to have this hatchery live. He does want a fourth base to really secure his lead. Going through a choke is always going to be dangerous. He's going with Archon's walls now as well, but some of these are very low, and he's going to need to replace them. Showtime should be running low on his main at this point, but his third base, that is not being harassed. That is not being taken out. He could transfer workers to there.
Okay. Does he go for it? Does he really transition to something? Because at the same time, still no upgrades for Showtime, as we have +2 melee and +2 missile. You can't lose that Prism. 200 mineral is way too expensive for this game. The Prism escapes. What's the status on the +2 melee, +2 range? Okay, it's about to finish in 30 seconds. You don't want to wait any longer. The surround is brilliant for Cyril. Is the storm enough? Can he show her the army in its entirety? There's no storms left. The Baneling connect. And Cyril in Finland actually do it. GG!
How?
Whoa!
Cyril should have died to the charge lots. That absolutely should have happened. The follow-up without Banelings, he would have died as well. He brings it back with some awesome positioning, and Showtime tried so hard, got so close, and yet Finland will still take the victory.
He had 1 million Zealots.
1 million,
against
yes.
5 Hydras.
No,
and
that was
3 drones.
We need to see that replay. The army supply was just not even really there for Cyril, but the positioning absolutely was. Showtime then kind of like, teeter-totter between killing the third base outright, and then going back to the natural. It was just so insane. I guess we're not going to see that fight.
It looks like we don't have that clip, but I think it was probably the most important thing that happened in this game is how Cyril that scouted at the last possible moment that he was getting all in. I mean, Showtime went for a blind counter. It was like, okay, you're going to go for fast Titleist without a Roach Warren, without a Baneling Nest. I will drop 8 gateways, go for a Zealot shot all in. And I would argue that probably 99% of the Zerg players in this entire planet would have died to it.
Yes.
It's like, it's a blind counter.
Yeah.
You're supposed to counter it.
What's so good, too, is that Showtime is probably like getting all giddy because his Phoenix kept scouting the timing of the Hydralist and exactly what was going on. He started getting very giddy, thinking he was going to win this game. And Cyril just so clutch, man. Like, I guess he's died to this before, right? The charge all in to catch him by surprise, so he's like, no. Not this time.
Not this time. Not game 7. of the quarterfinals of Nation Wars. But I mean, even the transition into Quick Storm was such a smart one from Showtime, but just in the end, the economy and the sheer amount of units on the side of Cell was just a little bit too much. Even this fight looks kind of close.
This fight, like if it was anything but an actual surround, like two parties coming from the different sides, if it's a kind of like a concave or if